You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
A new year means it's time for a new home network that can keep up. With Cox Internet, you have the speed and coverage your family needs to stay connected. You'll enjoy Cox's fiber-based hybrid network with options for fast upload and download speeds. And if your household has lots of connected devices, Panoramic Wi-Fi may be the perfect fit thanks to its additional control features. Plus, with advanced security on Panoramic Wi-Fi, you'll know each connected device is securely protected 24/7. A whole world of connectivity is yours with Cox Internet. Learn more at Cox.com.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you. See you, see you.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Y'all ready for this?
Let's get ready to rumble!
Although, since now it's just Trump versus Haley, I don't know if rumble's the right word, because, you know, that that's bad connotations. Anyway, we're here because it is primary night in New Hampshire. We have preempted all regularly scheduled programming, and we're bringing you a special episode of Poli-Sci 11 TMK. This is normally when we try to listen to, like, debates and other political things like State of the Unions and kind of make fun of them, a la Mystery Science Theater 3000. But since we don't have the serious news side up and running yet, we've just been parking the political news stuff under this one as well. We do hope to have the news side up and running, hopefully by about mid-February, so stay tuned for that. We're still working on it. I am joined already by Miss Aggie Reekin. She had said she would probably join later, but I guess things changed, so she's here with me now, so it's not just me rambling for an hour, which you guys hear 2 hours a day, every day, anyway. So good evening, Miss Aggie. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thanks for preempting us.
Yeah, you know. Every once in a while, the station guy has to do things to make everybody mad.
Yes. And it's funny because Brad and I, we call each other on the day of the podcast to get our notes ready and all that stuff, and didn't even dawn on us that it was the shindig tonight. I mean, seriously, it didn't even hit us. And so we did our notes and everything. Of course, I had my mini rant because one of the things I was going to cover was the latest faux pas by the Pope, or like I call it, Pope Fa.
Yeah. the faux pas by the faux Pope. Just saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And so we're going to cover that. And it's funny because every time I start talking about that, I feel bad for Brad because he has to listen to my rant for like 15 minutes because I'm so angry. And I'm so mad that my words are all disjointed. My sentences make no sense. My voice, gets higher and all that stuff.
I beg to differ. I'm normally listening quietly, and you do at least make sense. We can tell you're angrier than the average Aggie, but you do at least make sense, despite what you think at the time.
I feel bad for him, but every so often something just riles me, and of course he tries to get me riled because he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, he tries to get you riled. I do everything I can just to make you blush and laugh. So I guess between the two of us, we make a pretty good pair.
Yeah, his methods leave, but whatever. But yeah, no, that's what. Like I said, we had all our lists out and everything. We ran through, boom, and then I see that in the 10. I'm going, damn! I totally forgot about that.
That's all right. I think I even said it wrong on a couple of the live "What's Up This Week" things, and I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot Tuesday's primary." And then I was gonna tell everybody yesterday, and then I was dealing with something yesterday. I don't even remember what it was. Oh yeah, I had a meeting that I'd forgotten about, so I was scrambling to get ready for that. And then
that's right. Yeah, you had your meeting. You couldn't do your afternoon show. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a meeting with a financial planner and trying to get some things squared away. But it was going to be coming on right as the show was coming off, and I'm like, well, surely if I try to do the show, they're going to be waiting on me, and then they're going to be mad. because it was virtual. But then again, we didn't even get started until like 4:15, so I could have done the show anyway, and I was kind of mad about that. But I was like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, so then I was like, oh, I need to tell everybody just in case. And then I got busy doing other crap, and then forgot. And then this morning I was like, okay, I definitely needed to remind everybody that we're doing this. And then you were like, so this means not doing that one? I was like, not this week. I was like, there will still be some banter time, so you guys can still probably work in some of your stories if Brad does join us. Probably not your 20-minute rant, though. May have to save that one.
No. I got to save my rant, man. I got to save my rant because I knew my rant.
But yeah, so as usual, me trying to plan ahead, I was like, well, we started like right at 7 last time, 7 my time, 8 Eastern. 7 me and Aggie's time, because we live in the right time zone. The rest of y'all are just stupid.
That's right. We're in God's time zone.
Anyway, and then it was over like 5 it was called like 5 minutes after we launched the show. So I decided this time I was going to knock things back by like a half an hour, but I don't remember people starting to count this early. So I know in Oklahoma, normally they don't start counting anything or putting anything out in the news until the polls actually close, which doesn't happen in... Well, I guess, I guess maybe that's why. New Hampshire polls closed at, I keep forgetting, 7 Eastern. So they have been closed for about half an hour now. So never mind. I was the confused one this time, because I live in the right time zone and y'all don't. Just saying. But so far, so the returns are starting to come in. This is from AP through Yahoo News. 14% of the votes have been counted so far. So far, we have Donald Trump with 23,565 votes cast for a total of 52.7%, which puts him right around polling. Nikki Haley, 20,759 votes cast so far, putting her at 46.4, which does put her above polling, but with DeSantis dropping out, everybody kind of knew that was going to happen. So far, Ron DeSantis has still received a total of 296 votes, receiving 0.07% of the vote. So far, there have been 28 total write-ins, so nobody really knows what's there, but that's 0.6%. Chris Christie is still getting votes, 19 so far, with a total of 0.4%. So last time, other beat Chris Christie. So far, write-in is beating Chris Christie, and because Chris Christie is now coming up in the numbers, Binkley, who is still in the race, is no longer in the thing without expanding it. So. And dude, he's way down there now. Somebody named Glenn McPeters has 10 votes. Ryan Binkley has 9 votes now. I guess these are maybe some of the write-ins. Mike Pence has 7 votes. Doug Burgum has 6 votes. Mary Maxwell, I don't even know who that is, has 4 votes. Bollywood Diva is still coming in with 4 votes at 0.01%. Rachel Swift has 3 votes, and then that's it so far. But yeah, so far, I mean, right now there's about a little less than 4,000 votes between them, but again, there's only 15% counted so far. CNN's been having a field day, though, because there's a little tiny town not too far from the Canadian border that votes first anymore, because there's only like 6 people in the entire township that are eligible to vote anyway. So instead of them driving 45 minutes, they're like, we'll just let you guys vote first, and you guys can come in and vote anytime after midnight. So these people actually come in, and they cast their votes pretty much like 12:01. So CNN's been having a field day because that little bitty township went all 6 votes for Nikki Haley. So they've been all day 100% return for Nikki Haley so far, but it is only in this little bitty town. But they always lead with the 100% return for Nikki Haley before explaining.
Because that's where most people stop listening. Let's face it, that's it.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is at this point and this is the part that I don't get, because at this point. And I get it. A lot of people don't like me saying this because they feel like their interactions with a lot of Trumpers are vile, and especially the online Trumpers, which I still firmly believe are at least 50% Democrat trolls being assholes. And hey, that rhymed. I'm going to steal that and keep it. I didn't even mean to say that. I didn't even mean to say that way. But anyway, Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, whether anybody really likes it or not, has kind of become the establishment of the Republican Party. But you have the donor class of the Republican Party, which, if you missed it today, I did a really interesting kind of cover of a Blaze article today talking about the one percenters and how many of them think that America has too much freedom. That's the people.
Really?
That's the people that are deciding who your candidates are, because they're the ones throwing money at them because they have the money to throw at them. And over 70% of them, the one percenters, which are basically anybody with a master's degree or higher, with $150,000 or more of income, that lives in an area or a zip code with more than 10,000 people. Those are kind of the major ticks that kind of they determined what the 1% is, because that basically equates to about 1% of the American population. Over 70% of them think America has too much freedom.
That's tragic.
Let that sink in.
But putting that in context, they do think America has too much freedom because they separate themselves from America.
Exactly.
For them, that's completely different. They have the money, ergo they don't need the freedom because the freedom comes with the money. So they do think that we, little people, the unwashed, the proles, do have too many freedoms because we're constantly questioning things like this. And we shouldn't question our betters.
Well, I mean, that's
At
just
least that's
true.
the way they see it.
I mean, that's just so not true, because we should be questioning our betters. But I see what you mean.
Of course. No. I was being sarcastic.
Oh, I know.
Sorry if it didn't come across.
No, it came across. I was just, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, after Ron DeSantis decided to suspend his campaign, I started seeing a lot of, people from the Trump side wanting to persuade, for lack of a nicer term, others, people from the DeSantis camp over to the Trump side, saying, well, now we need to unite. But there was a lot of damage done. And I'm sure that a lot of us will hold our noses this coming election. I mean, we're not going to have a choice. But it's hard to reconcile human nature when for months you were told that your vote didn't matter, your vote didn't, wasn't needed, you were vile trash and everything. And this was coming from both sides. I'm not saying it was one-sided, but to be honest, it was more one side than the other that I saw. And there's a lot of, some people are trying to be reconciliatory. Some people are saying, look, I don't like him, but I have no choice, but don't think that I'm part of the MAGA camp, that kind of thing. And yet I still see a lot of hostility towards the DeSantis camp from the Trump camp. And it's alarming to me. Somebody that's always studying human nature. That's pretty much all I do, living so remote. That's pretty much all I do online, is just study how people react and everything. And it's alarming to me to see that people in the Trump camp are still reacting with hostility towards the DeSantis camp. And I'm not saying just random names. I'm saying big names, And the best thing I think that Trump can possibly do at this point is just get rid of Laura Loomer.
Please.
If he were to just alienate her right now, that would go a long ways towards people being able to at least reconcile to the Trump camp. But I don't see that happening. There's just too much rancor going on. And it is not being alleviated in any way. They're not, the olive branches are tainted. They're broken and they're moldy and they're, infested with worms. So I just don't know how this is going to play out, honestly.
Well, that's the part that annoys me, right? Because I've never actually seen Trump do what he's trying to do right now. Because when he let Ted Cruz have it, now of course once Ted Cruz was out of the race, it was let bygones be bygones. But I never really heard him say, I respect Ted, this, that, and the other. He's actually trying with DeSantis. He's actually come out multiple times, and somebody had even told him, even now that he's on your side, are you going to keep calling him Ron DeSanctimonious? And he's like, no, that name's officially retired. So, I mean, Trump himself is trying to be magnanimous, which I've never seen before, and I don't even know. If he likes doing
my question regarding that, would that have anything to do with the fact that several Republican congressmen from the state of Florida wanted to pass a bill to help pay for his legal troubles? Because
possibly.
That to me was very alarming. When I saw that, I was like, no, why would you ask the taxpayers to pay for somebody's legal bills, especially when that somebody says he's a billionaire? I'm kind of like, no.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, me too. And look, and this is the thing. This is why I think slowly but surely Biden is losing touch with his base. First of all, people are figuring out that he's trying to help alleviate college bills for what is arguably considered part of the 1%. We just kind of went over what they consider those demographics, which is dumb because most people that have college degrees, statistically speaking, based on the people that do the numbers, are more likely to earn more money throughout their life, so they really don't need the help. Well, we're kind of seeing the same thing start happening everywhere. We have everybody trying to shore up the rich, and the hell with the middle class. I mean, everybody says the middle class is dying. I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the middle class died a long time ago.
No, the middle class is not dying. It has been eradicated. It's right now what's left is being used as a prop. But this has been something, and this was something that my teacher in high school, and I graduated from high school in 1985. She said that she actually felt that this was something that government was doing on purpose, was trying to eradicate the middle class. And she gave a really big, I think we spent like almost a month studying the strata, and how government had gone from low, middle, and upper to breaking down the low into the lower, mid-lower, upper, lower, kind of like boxing with their, with their weight classes. And she said for a long time, we only had 3. Now we have 9. And in one of those, we actually have 5. And, we were trying to figure out, what do you mean we have 5? And I said, well, in the middle class, you have upper middle class, you have lower upper middle class, you have middle class, then you have lower middle class, the lower upper middle class, and then you have lower middle class. And I'm going, why are these numbers so important? And she's like, I am so glad you asked. And she pulls out the census form. And she said, this is very strategic. And this was back in, seriously, 1984. That's when I took that class, because it was my senior year. And she said, mark my words, in the next maybe 30 years, the middle class will have almost vanished. And it took a little longer for the middle class to actually vanish.
Well, I'm honestly surprised it took so long. I mean, if you go back to the late 50s, early 60s, the annual median income was $3,000 a year. You know what the annual, or what the price for a house was at that time?
Oh, pretty low.
$5,000.
Yeah. Because I was going to say back in 1940,
and not for a shack.
Yeah, in 1947 it was like $2,300. So, and that was for one of the little Levittown style, Cape Cod style houses, that were really nice and pretty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wasn't a shack.
But this is stuff that I've kind of been touching on for the last couple of weeks on the afternoon show. The whole feminist movement was a psyop, and nobody's figured it out. It's the same thing. The same thing they're doing now with the genders is what started all the feminist movement. And it started because they were like, well, if we get women out of the workforce, 1, we double our tax base. 2, we get to let kids be raised by schools, not parents.
Yeah. That's exactly it. That's the whole reason for breakfast programs, so that you can get your kid into school earlier, before school programs, after school programs. You know, that was all part of the plan. And she was, and I'm telling you, my teacher was liberal. She was a Democrat. She died a Democrat. She was like through and through, but she said that this was dangerous because once you remove the middle class completely, there is no way for the lower classes to move up. There was no step. That step was gone, which meant in its place is a chasm that nobody could cross. And, you know, a lot of my friends asked that, you know, the question is like, well, but how is it possible? I mean, it depends on how much money you make. And she says, when you factor in inflation, when you factor in the fact that the prices of things are going up, but your checkbook is not growing, your check is not, your take-home pay is not commensurate with the price of things going up, that's how the chasm widens. And it was really hard for some of my friends to understand that. And she basically brought the example of, you know, communist countries and how it works over there. How there are definitely two classes in a communist society. And one of my friends, who, bless her heart, to this day she's a socialist, she said, "But that's not true in a communist country." And so my teacher put down her chalk, and she said, "Okay, come up here and explain it." And she went up there and she tried explaining it, and my teacher's just standing there. And she's talking about how in communism everything is equal, everybody gets the same, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And so my teacher started asking her the hard questions. I said, when you contribute to the state, who doles it out? Is it everybody that doles it out, or is it a particular set of people that dole it out? Oh, well, you have to have a set of people that are doling it out. I was like, how do those people get to that position of management? You know, and she couldn't answer. And my teacher was answering all these questions, you know, and she said, this is why in communism you have two classes, not one. Yep. And one will always tell you that there are no classes in communism, but the one that's telling you that are the ones with all the benefits. The ones that get to control the money, the ones that get to control the bread, the ones that get to control where you work and how long you work, and, you know, all that stuff. Those are the ones that tell you. And, you know, it's just, once you remove the middle class, then you've effectively broken that, you know, capitalism, really.
So I was trying, because I saw somebody drop something from the actual Democrat side that I guess Sam had put out. I was trying to see if I could find a link so we could kind of keep up with that too, because so far it's not looking good for Joe Biden. A New Hampshire Democratic presidential primary, which also I feel like I'm having a Mandela effect when it comes to politics, because maybe it's just because of the fact that he's very unpopular, but I don't remember very many times that there was actually a primary with an incumbent. I can't think of very many anyway. But so far, this was from a while ago. This was recorded at 7:33 p.m. Eastern Time. Write-in with a total of 7,288 votes, 59.6% is currently the lead. Dean Phillips, the guy who's trying to give Joe a run for his money, 3,228 votes with 26.4% counted in his favor. Joe Biden has a whopping 1,000 votes with 8.2%. Mariana Williams, 6.4%, and other has 0.04%. So I'm really trying to figure out where this information came from, because Yahoo News doesn't seem to have it. So I was trying to see where they got it from, because I kind of want to poke fun at them at the same time. It looks like it's Yahoo News from the way that it's set up, but I can't. Every time I try to pull it up, the only thing I can find is the Republican stuff. So I don't know. Keep clicking around here. Since we're going over it again, though, we might as well take a look at the other side. Right now, we are showing 17% of the vote counted, and Donald Trump is increasing his lead. 29,845 votes total for Donald Trump, 54.1%. Actually, AP News has officially called it. as of now. It just changed right in front of me. Haley with 24,825 votes counted, showing 45%, so she's not even within 10 as of now, which is where they said she needed to be in order to keep her donors happy. So who knows what happens next, but according to AP News, they have already called the New Hampshire primary for the Republicans, and Donald Trump is the projected winner. We will stay with it and keep going over it, because we've allotted quite a bit of time to do that. Who knows, maybe, if Brad does join us in another half hour or so, if it stays like this, you guys might get to do most of your show anyway. And then I can just change over when you guys get done. But
well, news broke. I show you the tweet. Colin Rugg tweeted out that somebody had been caught trying to bribe Carrie Lake into not running for Senate.
Oh yes, I
saw
that.
A couple of years, and I'm like, why? Why would they need to hold her back from? Like, if Carrie Lake were the one that they wanted for the VP, they wouldn't need to bribe her to not run. They could just tell her straight off, hey, we're looking at you for VP. So
yeah, I don't.
We'd rather you didn't run.
Now,
that kind of thing. Why would you need to bribe her?
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on there, because she didn't do that well in her run for governor. She did squeak by in the Senate stuff, but I don't know. I do know that according to Seb Gorka, Trump's already decided who he wants to be his nominee, but everybody's being pretty tight-lipped. The thing that nobody seems to understand, though, is while the presidential nominee gets some say as to, at least try to steer the committee, there's a committee that picks who your vice president is, which is why there's a very interesting book that's about to come out regarding the relationship between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because there's a tell-all book I don't even remember who wrote it, but the rounds have started to be made about the vitriol between those two, and according to the person writing the book, Biden didn't want her. His first choice was actually Gretsch.
I seem to recall that there was an issue, and I remember vaguely that it was a committee that helped to choose the vice presidential nominee because of what happened with Bush and Cheney. Remember?
Yeah.
Because they were both from the same state, Cheney had to actually change his resident status to a different state.
Yeah.
So, and when they were asking Bush about that, and he said, well, I'm sure that will be straightened out. But he never actually said, this is the guy that I'm picking, and so we are working it out to where he can be my running mate. Those words were not said. It was more of, it's being worked out, and it was almost like, they're all working that out. It was somebody else. It was a third party, And so I always thought that was kind of weird wording, but I didn't give it a lot of thought until somebody brought up the thing that, why would you have picked a guy that, what the rules are? Why would you have picked him? And Bush came out and said, I didn't. This was a mutual agreement, but, things were worked out so that he could be my running mate.
And, well, that's the thing, because everybody keeps saying, what if Trump picks DeSantis as his running mate? Well, first of all, it's not Trump's pick. Second of all, DeSantis can't change his resident status because he's the governor. So
he's the governor. It would have to be Trump that changes it. So
yeah, and Trump's not going to do that, because the only other place Trump wants his residency is New York, and right now they don't want him. So I doubt he owns property elsewhere, I'm sure, but I don't even know at this point. I guess since they were able to do it with Cheney, if it comes down to it, they might be able to squeak it, but I just don't see it being a thing. Second of all, I don't know Trump from Adam, but the one thing that I can say is I don't think he's going to put anybody on the undercard that could upstage him.
Oh, no.
And
it's going to be somebody that can be controlled, too.
Yeah, and like it or not, DeSantis can upstage him. And again, it's not even really necessarily his choice. Biden himself wanted Gretsch. Mrs. Biden couldn't stand Kamala Harris after she called her husband a racist on the stage. She wanted Rice. And basically Obama and the rest of the committee went to Biden and said, this is our pick, you gotta take her. And he's like, but she called me a racist. And they're like, fucking take it. Because, in case you haven't figured it out yet, he ain't the one in charge.
No, he's not. And, everybody wondered how it was that Kamala got the VP nom. Because she had no showing in the primaries.
Yeah, I can.
No one likes her. you know?
I mean, I'm not. I know it wasn't Obama that she blew in the committee. That much I know, because he don't swing that way. But
do you think Obama would have picked Biden? Hell no.
No.
Everybody makes fun of it, saying, "Oh no, that's just assassination insurance."
Yeah, I mean that's the whole. I mean, and that's the thing. Everybody's like, well, they're gonna have to figure something out, because if Biden wins the election, that puts Harris in place to become president when he says, "Ooh, my health is so bad, I have to leave," which everybody's expecting pretty much any day now, because it's become apparent. I mean, I'm trying to find out if this was somebody poking fun or not, but I swear to God, because he's not even in New Hampshire. He's doing a speech in Virginia, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody put out a video capture of him saying "Hello, Virginia," and the actual governor, and it was the other guy. And I'm like, I hope this is somebody making fun or an older clip or something, because if not, this is bad. Because the actual governor of Virginia quote tweeted and said, "Mr. President, I'm right here." So
it was pretty funny.
I'm like, I hope this is an old video that's making the rounds now, just to make him look dumb. Because, I mean, even if he's trying to make a joke, it kind of puts him in the same camp as he's been making fun of everybody else. Because election denial is like a full-on felony now or something.
Yeah, but there was no contestation of Youngkin's, victory. So why would he say that?
I don't know, because he thinks he's fun, I guess.
I mean, I know why he would say it in Georgia and bring up Stacey Abrams because of all the brouhaha that she has done for that cause. But there was no contestation in Virginia that I can recall.
Oh wow! I gotta find this on Decision Desk. Apparently, so at first they were only showing write-in. Apparently, a good bit of the write-in has actually been for ceasefire. 53.9%
yes.
ceasefire.
I saw that.
28.2% Phillips.
Oh boy.
No, President Joe Biden supporters in New Hampshire intend to write in the incumbent's name as he adheres to the DNC guidance to refrain from participating in the unsanctioned Tuesday contest. However, at least according to somebody who's quote tweeting it, they're showing 53.9% of that to potentially be for ceasefire. There's not an actual breakdown, so I don't really know if that's the case or not. It just says write-in. But for them to not say, at least a general idea of what's being written in, because that was what we heard all day today, was that there was a branch of, there was the more progressive wing within the Democratic Party had planned on using the write-in section of the ballot to write ceasefire.
Wow!
If that's the case, that's amazing. Now again, I'm just reading somebody else's tweet. The actual screen capture from them doesn't say that. It just says write-in is still sitting at, which was the same thing we saw earlier, at just a little bit past 7 Eastern. So I guess I'm going to go find Decision Desk, see if they have the breakdown so we can keep up with that too, because that might be worse than popcorn as that develops.
I don't doubt it.
So let's see. Let's go to Decision Desk. Problem is I don't use a lot of these sites very often, so it's kind of hard to navigate them sometimes. And there we go. Dude, write-in is still kicking ass and taking names. So far, well, I guess they said polls closed at 7. This was last updated at 7:10 p.m. So it's been a minute. but I'm guessing that's my time, so that would have been just a couple seconds ago. Write-in still sitting at 14,471 votes, 56.6. Dean Phillips, 6,389. Joe Biden, which again would be part of the write-in, so I have a feeling that write-in might be ceasefire, because it would make sense as to why they're not putting it there, because Joe Biden's not on the ballot, so for them to be counting his,
Right.
he has to be part of write-in, so they've separated it, which means whatever is the main part of that write-in is not what they want people to know. Because, yeah, anyway. So far, I mean, like I said, they've already called for GOP. As of right now, Donald Trump's sitting at 55%, which with Ramaswamy dropping out and DeSantis dropping out, even with a lot of the people that aren't going to be willing to vote for DeSantis or for Trump, a good bit of his folks are still going to swing that way because they don't feel like they have a choice. I'm kind of in that same camp. I would much rather have DeSantis at the end of the day because, like I said, he has a lot of the same vision as Trump, has instituted better policies than Trump did during COVID, and doesn't have any of the baggage. But I have to admit, I was really disappointed when he dropped out as quickly as he did.
I was too. I really was. I had hoped that he would at least stick until after New Hampshire, but yeah, I hate to be obstinate. But I am. Okay, maybe I'm not obstinate. Maybe I just hold a grudge, and I know I do.
I mean, you're Puerto Rican. It's in your DNA.
Well, yes, but it's. For a Christian woman, it's very, very difficult to bear grudges, but I do, and I'm easy to forgive.
Just remember how Jesus felt about the Pharisees, and then you'll feel okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much every time where I go to. But I seriously, I'm quick to forgive. I don't forget. I don't ever forget. And once you have gone and said or done something to me in a hostile manner with the intent to hurt me, I don't forget that. And the trust is gone. And it is very difficult to rebuild that trust. For example, there was this one guy, 2016, who was really big into Trump and everything. And basically he said, if you're not a supporter of Trump, I expect you to unfollow me and blah, 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 and all that stuff. Well, I didn't unfollow him. I'm like, A, you're not my dad. You don't tell me what to do. And B, why should I unfollow you? It's fine that you are going to vote for Trump. I don't care. And I said something, and he sends me a message, like a Greta, what I call a Greta message. How dare you? I was like, what happened? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he just went on this, he just spewed invective. And I was like, dude, first of all, I respect the fact that you're going to vote for Trump. And if Trump is a nominee, I'm going to end up voting for him too. But, I'm still weighing all the options. And he was like, I mean, seriously, some of the words I cannot even repeat. Some of the names that he called me are that vile. And he took to Twitter and he put me on blast and called me the C word because I would not support Trump. And I was like, okay, that was a line. It's one thing for you to tell me these things in DM. It's quite another for you to go to the timeline and say it. And so I blocked him right then and there. Well, then Trump wins. Everything is hunky-dory, blah, 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 blah. And he had his account nuked for some reason. I don't know what happened. Probably his invective.
Sorry. I was trying to pull up 538 and it went to ABC News and they're talking. Apparently they're kind of really sad right now.
That's too bad. But, he came back as with a different thing, and he tweeted to me, he's like, hey, this is so-and-so, my old account got nuked and everything, and I did not respond. And he kept tweeting at me, and I finally tweeted back. I said, I'm sorry. You blew up the bridge. There's no going back. It's gone. And after that, he just left me alone. But, and this is the problem that I have with a lot of people who were on the MAGA side that were very hostile to me. They now expect me to embrace Trump completely because he's the only choice. And I'm like, I'm not going to embrace him. I'm not going to support him. I may vote for him, but that's all you're getting out of me. And they were like, but we need your voice. I said, you didn't need my voice before. You certainly didn't need my vote. And I'm at that point where my grudges are so cemented that some people are actually surprised at me. They're surprised that I have taken such a step. And I'm like, I don't know how else to explain it to you. So I'll use small words. Y'all screwed me over. That's all I can tell you. I have a really good friend on in real life who's also on Twitter, and he's very much a Trump supporter. And he has had issues with Ron DeSantis and things that Ron DeSantis has not been honest, and he has done things that were not right and all that stuff. And he does all these long threads and everything. And I read all of them because that's the way to educate yourself. You do read both sides. You have to. And his fear is that the sides were so embittered towards each other that they may not reconcile enough to, side over to Trump to vote for him come November. And I sent him a message and I said, dude, everybody was burning bridges and everybody forgot that the real target was this fucking administration. But instead, y'all were attacking each other instead of attacking Biden. Had you all stuck to that, had both sides stuck to that, this wouldn't be happening right now. Seriously, DeSantis would still be in, Vivek would still be in. Everything would still be going as is. But no. Everybody had to nuke each other, and this is where we're at. It is a complete shit show, and there is no way to predict what's going to happen.
No, I mean, there's not. And I don't really, look, at this point, with the showing that we have now for the two elections, enough that it basically swept everybody out but Haley, which now I kind of feel bad because I made fun of her the day after the caucus because she was talking about how it's a two-person race now, and I'm like, well, apparently she can't do math. Put it all over Twitchy, and then she was right. That's another reason I'm mad at DeSantis, dude. You should have stayed in it long enough to not make me a liar, bro. Just saying.
Yeah, and a lot of people are upset because they can't understand why he dropped out this early.
I mean, I get it. His polling in New Hampshire was abysmal. The stuff in South Carolina wasn't looking much better. So his donors were pissed. And I get that to a point. But, I mean, we don't normally even know who our anytime we've done primaries, since I've been doing this, and even from sometimes that I remember when I was a kid, we never used to know who our nominee was till Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
So this whole, I blame part of it on the fact that used to, presidential election cycles were 4 years. Now they're 8 years long. And yes, I said what I said. It used to be like the year before and the year of. Now it's like the second they're sworn back in, they start campaigning again. And they were campaigning for 4 years before that to even get the job in the first place. So everybody's got fucking campaign fatigue and all this, we're just over it, just move on. And I'm starting to think that in a lot of ways they do that on purpose because, again, most of the people that are putting the money up there to put these people in front of you so that you can pick one of them think that your life should be a lot harder than it is. They're okay with doing things like limiting meat intake. They're okay with rationing electricity. They're okay with forcing everybody into electric vehicles because it's supposedly better for the environment. And they think that you have too much freedom. These are the people that are deciding who gets to be put in front of you to be president of the United States. So the idea that we still live in this bubble where we believe we have this freedom of choice, I'm telling you, folks, we haven't had it in a long time. The death of the last of your freedoms happened when the Patriot Act was signed, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to admit it. Since then, it's all been bread and circuses. Every bit of it, including the political back and forth, has been bread and circuses because the donor class, or who are deciding who your candidates are, you may or may not get a final say in it because now they're even figuring out how to manipulate those results by putting the right bots in the right places to piss people off because of social media. So how much of this is actually people-driven and how much is donor-driven versus bot-driven versus AI-driven versus algorithm-driven? We may never know the answer to that question. But thanks to all those things, as of right now, if Nikki Haley's not out soon, she probably will be before South Carolina because Nevada's up next, and I don't see her doing well out there either.
Question.
Answer.
Damn it. You were talking about it. Okay. Wait. No, just give me a second. It'll come back to me.
Question. Never mind. Maybe in a minute.
I haven't said anything. I did have a question.
Oh, I know. It happens to me all the time, too. It's even more...
Patriot Act. Do you think that we don't talk about the Patriot Act because it was passed during a time of war by a Republican president?
It's also the main reason why I think that everybody still believes that taxation is unconstitutional. But it's not, because in 1913, the Republicans had this grand idea to basically put it to the states and decide whether they wanted money taken from the federal government taken by the federal government because the Republicans were like, surely, because the Democrats kept coming back to them after they let go of the income tax that we had during the Civil War and around that time frame. It got let go because it basically had a sunset clause. Eventually, everybody got tired of it. So the Democrats kept coming back to the well every time a new House was put in place. We should do income tax again. We should do income tax again. We should do income tax again. The Republicans kept saying no. So eventually, to try to shut up the argument, in 1913, they put it to a vote of the states. The states ratified the amendment to the Constitution that solidified federal progressive income tax. We don't talk about that either. I remember. I remember when I first started doing this, everybody was like, "Income tax is unconstitutional because according to the Constitution, you can't do that." And the original Constitution does say that there will be no direct levy of taxes between the general government and the American people. It does say that, not in those words, but that's basically what it says. The problem is when you amend the Constitution, the newer language is first. So when the state said, "Take our money, please," the federal government said, "Thank you, we will, and we will keep taking it." Which is now why, and now you've got even Nikki Haley, who denies it, saying that the retirement age for Social Security should be raised to closer to life expectancy. Because the other little dirty secret that nobody talks about, when Social Security was originally passed, that age limit was set within 2 years of the average life expectancy of the American man. Because they wanted as much money going into it and almost nobody being able to draw out of it. So as our life expectancy has continued to increase with, better access to food, better health care, and now, of course, it's going the other way because all of those things are now slowly trying to kill us because the same people that run our politics also control all of our food. There's a scary thought for you, by the way. Basically, now they're like, well, since people are living longer, it should take longer to be able to retire. If you guys haven't figured out yet that we're basically wage slaves to the federal government and we are the batteries that everybody made fun of in the Matrix, we're just pouring our money into the federal government instead of being plugged into a virtual reality machine, then that's why everybody starts talking about the Matrix. It's not the way you think, but the simple fact of the matter is, you are born, you are educated well enough to push buttons, you are put into the workforce, you are conditioned to get a 9-to-5 job, you are conditioned to get a job to the point where, and you get these things like 401ks, 401(3)Bs, 401as, all these nice things that get put into buckets depending on where you work to give you the illusion of being able to retire until you hit 65 and you realize you have absolutely no money because it's all tied to the stock market and they've been playing you all along. So then you're like, well, I'll just take my Social Security, and you look it up, and you're, 65 years, you've ticked all these boxes, you've done all this, and we can guarantee you $1,200 a month until you die. I don't know about you, but I can't live on $1,200 a month even now. Imagine what it's going to be like when I'm 65 and I'm only 50.
Well, look what happened in France just a couple of years ago. The retirement age in France was, I want to say 55, 58, somewhere about there. They pushed it up to 70 because the country's broke, because it's a socialist country, technically. And so, to pay for the healthcare, you are guaranteed a free ride to university, by the way. There is such a thing as a student union. There's a union for students so that they can get more benefits. I mean, it's all wacko over there. But whatever, not my country, not my monkeys. But when they pushed it up to 70, people took to the streets and set shit on fire, okay? And it wasn't because somebody won a soccer game, and it wasn't because, the World Cup was coming or anything like that, like it normally happens. No.
Yeah, no.
They were pissed off because they had been told since they were born that this was the way it was going to be. They worked all of these years, and when they reached the age of 55 or 58, whichever one it was, they could retire, and the country would take care of them. And now they pushed it to 70. And now these people who were looking forward to retiring before the age of 60 now have to work 10 or 12 more years. And they are wholly pissed.
I mean, I would be too.
No, I totally get it. England did the same thing. They upped the retirement age. And we have upped the retirement age as well. So, but it was done very subtly here. But over in France, it was not subtle. They were told, oh, by the way, you still have to work. You can't retire. You have to retire at the age of 70 because there's no more money. And if you want benefits, you're going to have to pay for them. But everything's free. And it was funny because I saw somebody tweet this out. It was a girl. It was a screenshot from a TikTok or Reel or something. And she had moved to Europe, because things are free over there. You have free healthcare. You have free this. You have free that. What they didn't tell her was the taxation that you are required to pay for these free benefits. And so she did this reel, like, nobody said anything about the taxes here. And I'm like, well, of course they don't say anything about the taxes. I didn't know about the taxes when I was in Germany until my German girlfriend told me about it. We were going downtown. She said, oh, I have to stop at the income tax place. I need to pay taxes. And I was like, oh, is today the day? And she was like, what do you mean? It's like, like for us, it's April 15th. Is today the day that you pay your taxes for the year? She's like, no, we pay taxes every month. I was like, what do you mean you pay taxes every month? And she explained it to me. There are some things that they pay every 3 months and some things that they pay just once a year, but they pay taxes every month. The state assumes that you have 2 TVs. You have to pay taxes on those. 2 radios, to include the one in your car. You have to pay taxes on those. You have to pay taxes on how much heat you use in the house, not the electricity, the heat. You pay taxes on the electricity that you're using. So you're not only paying the electricity itself, you have to pay the taxes on the electrical use and the water. You have to pay, and let me tell you, you don't have 1 garbage can and 1 recyclable can. You have 4, and you have to pay taxes on each one, okay? It is ridiculous how the taxation in these countries is. And, a lot of people complain about the taxation here, and they should. Our taxes are getting ridiculous.
Well, I mean,
But-
well, that's the thing, though, right? So, yeah, we don't have some of that stuff, but we're getting there. And if the elites had their way, they actually want to restrict the use of personal air conditioning. By the way, too, I forgot to mention that earlier.
Yes, they do. And this is something that Germany is having to deal with. Germany, you don't find air conditioning often except in a big department store or in an office building or something like that, or in a hotel. they get special breaks for that because they bring in tourists or they bring some kind of money into the city or the state or whatever. But one of the things is, you go into a store and something's marked €14, you take it to the counter and you pay €14, and you think, oh
crap, that was not what I was trying to do. Hang on, I lost Aggie. Hang on.
Hello.
Hang on a second. I had a technical issue. I was trying to add you, and I called you instead of adding you to Aggie's call. So let me see if I can figure out what's going on now. See if maybe we can get her to change over, or I may have to hang up and call you back. Sorry. Yeah, let me just hang up and call you back and get back on her call because I think I've confused her too. Because I know I confused myself. Anyway, I'll just call you right back. Hang on.
Yep.
Live radio, yay! Oh, what the heck just happened? I think I killed everybody. Nope. You know what? We'll just do that.
Hello.
Okay, I'm trying again because the call with me and Aggie's dead now. So when I clicked over, I lost everything. So I'm trying to add her back in. Oh. Why is it still ringing in the background?
No. Okay.
There it goes.
There we go.
All right, let me try to let her know. Oh, there she goes. Sorry, everything went nuts. I don't know what happened. I tried to add Andrew and it started a completely different call. So I was like, wait a minute. That wasn't that what I told you to do?
I don't know if anybody heard me or not. So
no, you were in the middle of your rant when I tried to add Andrew and it started a new call instead. So.
Oh, okay. So I have no idea where I cut off.
Last thing
and I can't tell you.
I honestly don't remember either because I got really confused when it cut you off because I was trying to add him to the call and it decided to start another one anyway. It's like, that's not even what I told you.
Was that before or after the hidden taxes?
Well, you were kind of in the middle of going through the hidden taxes when I started trying to add him. Because it was about the time that I said something about our taxation being weird too, and then that the rich people want to control access to even air conditioning at this point, and that was right about the time I started trying to add him.
Oh, okay, the air conditioning thing. Yeah, that there are certain places where you can find air conditioning over there in Germany, because most people don't need it because it's very temperate during the summer anyway. So, but They don't understand that there are hidden taxes in everything that they buy. And, that's why a lot of the military fill out the VAT tax form so that they don't have to pay that tax. And it's a chunky piece of money. I mean, I think a friend of ours was buying a TV and the TV was like, I want to say it was €600 for the TV. He filled out the VAT form so that he wouldn't have to pay $250 in Texas. And I'm like, $250 of a euro? That's just the taxes? Oh, yeah. Everything has hidden taxes. As a matter of fact, when...
in Europe, they have the value-added tax.
Yeah, the VAT, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when, what's-her-name, Merkel became prime minister, the first week she raised the food taxes 9%, the very first week. And people were like, oh, no, what are you doing? And then within a day, they had forgotten because you don't see it. When you go purchase something, you basically pay the price that's advertised, but not the price that's, but you don't know how much of that is just taxes. And most of the time, it's well over 60% that's just in taxes for that item.
I worked 1 year over in Sweden. And I was talking with the millwrights over there. And they were making, I want to say, almost 2 times my annual salary. And then when I talked to them about it, they were paying almost 54% in taxes. And when you look at it, right, everybody talks about it. You go to McDonald's or Burger King, and you're paying $30-$40 over there.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was, it always blew my mind that you can get McBeer and McWine. I thought that was great, though. And you're asking for a McWine, and then they ask you, would you like white or red?
Oh, wait. What pairs best with the Quarter Pounder?
Exactly. But the menus always change depending on the country you were in.
Yep.
So and I have to say, hands down, the best menu of any McDonald's I was in, it was in France. Hands down.
I would say either Singapore or Japan.
Okay, well, no, I've never been to the Far East, so I don't know what kind of food did they have.
Yep, that's about right, Jeff.
Oh.
Yes, you could get it to go in a big. Like, these people have no shame.
Well, the funny thing is like you get over there and you're like, oh, these people, they're all serious about their wine, and you got to be nice. And it's like, are you kidding me? These people are drinking like Mad Dog 2020 and think this is what? Stop it! I've been lied to.
Oh, I don't know. I still feel like they missed a marketing window with selling wine at McDonald's. Would you like that in Grimace or Hamburglar?
Right? That should have been a thing. And Grimace could have had the red wine, and Hamburglar could have been the white.
Yep, exactly.
It would have been perfect.
But what do I know?
Oh. So
it's probably a good thing our McDonald's wasn't allowed to sell alcohol, because it probably would have been, would you like your bourbon neat or on ice?
There you go, Mario. McRipple. Yep.
McRipple. Yeah, that's nice. So Nikki is saying that the race is far from over.
Yeah, hang on. I actually have that here, so let's let everybody listen.
Not win. And so I'm concerned about this because we know that this year could be extremely violent.
That's not
There
her.
have been a lot of...
They're showing her, but they're not talking. It's not her talking. That's weird. Your Voice, Your Vote is running it right now, and it's a lot of pictures of her, but it's other people talking, so never mind. I think ABC's terrified.
Well, I mean, they may say that they're terrified, but let's face it, everybody wants Trump to run again against Biden because they think he's the guy that will lose.
Well, I mean, it's because he's the guy that won last time. My question is, even though they haven't admitted it, there's enough people that know that weird shit happened the last time that have been slowly and quietly and methodically trying to shore up the election. So my question is, have they done enough shoring up to make sure it doesn't go weird this time? Which, who knows? I mean, like I said, I am firmly starting to believe that this is an illusion of choice for us, because I've never seen it down. I mean, in a long time anyway, I haven't seen it down to two people this quickly, and I haven't seen it down to the point where we already have the one that everybody's projecting to be the nominee well before Super Tuesday. Because that's when a lot of states have their say. So the fact that we're now getting to the point where when we do have the split primary that is becoming very common in the Republican Party, the fact that they're now figuring out how to make that not happen within the first to second votes, to me, I just feel like people are being robbed of choices, and I think it's happening that way by design. And, Gene Baradelli, who may or may not be joining us today because he just got home and got caught up. He's like, it's already over. Do you still want me on? And I'm like, well, we're still talking about it, so you might as well come on if you want. So I sent him the link. He may or may not join in at some point. But he's been telling everybody for 4 years that, don't get your hopes up because this one's Trump's turn. And that seems to be what everybody's talking about, is his whole, comeback / revenge story. And even most of the people in New Hampshire today that I listened to that were talking about how they were voting for Trump, it's because they now feel like he's the underdog, because everything and everybody that can come after him is coming after him. And I'm like, yeah, but most of that's his own damn fault. Can we just finally admit that? Can we please? And no, they can't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how he wins in November, but then again, I've been wrong every cycle in the last 3. So hopefully I'm wrong again. Because I was convinced he wasn't going to win in 2016. He did. I was convinced he was going to win in a landslide in 2020. He did not. And I'm sitting here going, I don't know how he wins in 2024. So hopefully, this is the one time I will say that hopefully my record of being wrong holds. Because while I think we could survive another 4 years of Biden, despite what everybody says, I would much rather not have to try to do that.
Well,
but anyway.
I agree with you, Rick. I've not seen this. I mean, why? I don't understand. And I don't understand how so many people are saying that he deserves this, right? Well, he's owed this. And it's like, no. You know, none of these people, even Ron DeSantis, is not owed our vote, right? See, we're at that point there. Trump is being treated just like Hillary Clinton was in 2016. This is her election to lose. Truthfully.
Sure.
And everybody, when DeSantis announced it on Sunday, I mean, that was just,
Yeah, I have to admit, that was another reason why I was just kind of, you know what, I have a meeting today, so I'm just going to, I'm going to need a day. Because Sunday I was like, ugh. And then Monday I was like, ugh. I was like, okay, well, it's Tuesday, and this is what you do for a living now, so put your big boy pants on and get the fuck up and do your job. Because it's my job.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the fact that people, they like each other, right? And they can say that, you know, Ron DeSantis wasn't good in this area. Trump wasn't good in this area. You know, be respectful and disagree. And just because I don't support your candidate doesn't mean I'm a lowlife and a scumbag, right? But, I mean, it's the way that, and it was on DeSantis' side and Trump's side. Both of their social media, and it's not probably the people that are actually running the social media. It's just the ones that yell the loudest that you see this, and it's just like, all right, y'all are not winning people over.
Well,
and then this
thing
with
Ron
DeSantis yesterday saying that no, Florida taxpayers are not going to pay Trump's legal bills. I mean, granted, that's not what he said, but that's what that whole bill was for. And I'm like, yeah.
What I didn't understand was how people like Jack Posobiec, or however you pronounce his name, and he's been one of the most vile that I have seen.
Oh, yeah.
And
Aggie, cover your ears. Jack Pussy Dick. There you go.
I didn't hear that. So anyway, I don't understand how it was that he was okay with Florida footing the bill for Trump. That doesn't seem to be a very conservative thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand why everybody's okay with Trump rating.
All of y'all up in arms about the fact that Biden's forgiven tuitions.
Yeah. Y'all are pissed off about student loans, but you're okay with Trump raiding the GOP coffers to pay his legal fees, and you want Florida to foot the bill too. No. I mean...
Well, you owe him, because he's from Florida. And I'm like, I don't owe him with jack or shit.
I
mean, it ain't my say, but I do like the fact that the governor was like, not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, what's that GOP chairwoman doing? She's certainly not fundraising, I'll tell you that.
She's buying flowers.
Hey, Brad.
Ooh, Brad.
What's up, gang?
Yeah, she's buying flowers.
Now the smart people are here.
The question is she singing the song while she's buying flowers? I can buy myself flowers.
Let's calm down a minute with smart people being here. Hold on a second.
Wait.
Hey,
what?
Brad.
Wait.
Wait.
I think Gene's
What?
with us now.
That's Gene. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. I heard someone called Brad smart, and I had to jump in.
Well,
'Cause,
you joined in around the same time. How do you know we weren't talking about you, sir?
Definitely wasn't talking about me because nobody's ever accused me of being smart.
I mean,
You came in later than the rest of us. I think that might have been a little smart.
Well, no, that wasn't being smart. That was just New York City traffic. So that's what that was.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Are you guys still doing a thing? Because it looks like it's over." I was like, "Yeah, we're still doing the thing." But yeah, it's pretty much already been called. So
Yeah, grand opening, grand closing. Huh?
hey, no, that's in and out in what was that? What town in California? Like the first one they ever opened is like, yeah, we're only open for another 2 weeks because crime sucks. We're leaving. Grand opening,
That would
grand
be
closing.
Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland. There we go. But
Well, at least it looks like they didn't call it for, at least 15 minutes after the polling started.
yeah, unlike
Have they called it for Biden after all?
well, yeah. He is
I
the
had money on him.
he is
Yeah,
the
they
Put down
called it,
500 in order to
he's
win
losing.
20.
yeah. Well, the thing about it is, so there's a write-in campaign going on the Dem side because Joe Biden's not actually on the ballot. So right now, what's happening is there are 24.7% that they know for sure for Biden. There's a total write-in of 45.1%. So since they're assuming the majority of those are going to be Biden, they've already called it for him. However, I keep seeing people mentioning that the highest percentage of write-in votes on the Dem side right now are actually going to ceasefire. Which, if true, is going to be amazing. But I haven't been able to find any other sources outside of Twitter talking heads that have been able to confirm that. And they're not reporting who the write-ins are. They're just listing them as, unverified write-ins, and it's 45%. But because their assumption is most of those must, of course, be for Joe Biden, they've already declared him the winner. I still find it weird that they're having a primary for an incumbent. That's not. I don't know. It just seems weird to me.
Well, that's the problem is you got people that are running on the Democratic side, so they got to have a primary.
This is true. There were lots of people that were like, we can do better than that guy. So,
well,
with all due respect to the Democratic field, we're talking about Dean Phillips, who got into the race very, very late. Marianne Williamson, who probably consulted some crystals before she decided to get into the race, and Cenk Uygur, who was probably constitutionally disqualified to run for president. Do we really call this a Democratic primary field? That seems to be an insult to the intelligence of voters.
Well, the only reason there's not a bigger name on the Dem side for the primary, though, is because RFK Jr. got pissed off when they were like, no, we're not really going to do the primary thing, so he's running as an independent. Otherwise, there would be bigger pull on the Democratic primary side.
When a party apparatus uses their powers against you in that respect and basically cancels a primary, I can totally understand him doing that.
Yeah, no, that's why the biggest name that's running against Joe Biden that was a Democrat is not showing up as a Democrat because he's running independent now.
Yeah. Well,
this primary is. Has anybody checked to see if Vermin Supreme ran again?
I have not, to be honest.
I'm gonna look on right now.
The Democrat field is basically populated with all the kids that wouldn't get picked for kickball.
Oh, this is. I wish I could say that you were wrong, but I don't know. I'm starting to think. I'm starting to think we need to choose our nominees via dodgeball. At least then we know who everybody hates.
Well, I will say that what the Democrats are doing is very unusual because even when the Republicans, right, when Bush was running for his second term and Trump ran for his second term and the Republicans run for their second term, they still hold a primary. Granted, that's the only name that's on there, but they still hold a primary.
Right, and it works out well for them because then they can talk about turnout for voting in comparison to the opposite. And, Trump tried to use that to his advantage in 2020 by saying, I got so many more votes than the leading Democrat who was actually fighting for their life in a primary, and can then tout, well, I got 100,000 votes and the front runner for the Democrats got 50,000 votes, and look how much better I am than them. But meanwhile, there would be 200,000 turning out in total that would be showing up again in November. So it's a double-edged sword there. I personally think that clearing the field for Joe Biden was a command from Joe Biden. He didn't want to have to expend the energy to run because we already know that he needs a nap at least 2 or 3 times a day, or, you know, put a lid on his schedule, as it were. So why should he, who was already the anointed nominee, why should he have to mingle with the peasants?
Well, they're also not even doing debates.
Well, I mean, you've seen with Joe Biden with a
Biden's
podium.
not even if he's even against Trump, right? When the presidential debates, they're not even doing those.
Yeah, apparently they've already decided they're not doing those this cycle. So that could be fun for those of us that try to do this stuff as part living, part fun.
I mean,
nerds.
Anybody see any utility in those debates based upon the choice of the moderator in the debates? In 2020, didn't one moderator was selected? Wasn't he like an intern once for Biden once upon a time, and he ended up getting disqualified as a moderator? I forget his name, but it happened back in 2020. I believe he worked for C-SPAN, and he was disqualified. I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of his name either.
The best part of any Biden debate is that moment when the B-12 shots start to wear off and you can see him starting to veer.
Yeah.
And that's what I was really wanting to see, right?
It was Steve Scully from CNN, C-SPAN rather.
But I wonder if they're going to do the basement campaign.
Well, I mean, since
why not again?
Well, since they keep saying Trump has to uphold his gag order, it's going to be kind of hard for him to say much of anything that won't get him in trouble anyway. I get it that everybody's like, well, that's a very specific gag order. I'm like, no, not as much as you might think when you're trying to run against everybody trying to own your ass.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Not
the
the
precious part of any of those gag orders is that Trump has to shut up, but not the prosecutor. How does that work?
Yeah, isn't that interesting how that works? You know, he can't say anything.
He's out there holding press conferences and bad-mouthing them, and he's not allowed to defend himself. Bullshit.
But I mean, that's part of what is driving this, right? I mean, I talked about this with Aggie before everybody else joined in. Everybody that I heard today that was interviewed that was voting for Trump kept saying the same thing. They have made him an underdog, and I feel like I have to vote for the underdog. Because, I mean, they've literally come after him with everything that they can. Now, granted, and again, I've said this before, some of it is his fault because, you know, as soon as the documents thing came to light, he should have said, here, come get them. I have them. Just like Joe Biden did. Because since Joe Biden turned them over almost instantly, even though he'd had some of them since 1978, everybody stopped looking. But since Trump was like, no, I'm not, I don't have them. I don't know what you're talking about. And the thing that I hope they don't use is, like, the day after they raided his home in Mar-a-Lago, he went on Fox News and actually sat down with, I believe, I want to say it was Brett, I think it was Brett Baer, because I think by then the other guy was already gone. And literally said, yes, I had the documents with me. Half of them weren't even declassified, and I was showing them to everybody. I'm like, did you really just say that out loud on national television? And that was honestly when I figured it was over. I was like, not only did you just admit that, you know, the legal leg you had to stand on doesn't necessarily apply, you just said it out loud and in front of everybody. But here we are.
There's a lot more nuanced points when it comes to the arguments concerning that. Certainly constitutional points, and when a president chooses to declassify something, how it's supposed to be done. I know that there are statutes on the books for how others besides the president are supposed to deal with confidential records and the handling of them and the turning over of them. But I think that there is a unique argument when it comes to the president of the United States and when he deems a record declassified or not.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but here's the part nobody talks about. One of those pesky little things that was kind of built into the Patriot Act and some of the stuff that came after the Patriot Act, because there are parts of the White House that are considered a SCIF, there are parts of the White House that are not considered a SCIF. So there are parts where classified documents can be readily obtainable. There are parts where they cannot be readily obtainable. One of the things that they did was they made it possible for the President of the United States to say out loud, even if it was to an empty room, this document is now declassified, then he could take it to the residents, because the residents before then wasn't allowed to have classified documents. So there's all kinds of weird nuances here. But for him to admit, I didn't even declassify some of them, that's the part. I was like, why would you say that? Because before you said that, you could have said that to an empty room. Nobody could have ever heard you, and you could have said, I declassified it. And now you're on camera admitting that you didn't. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how that works.
Again, it could be very nuanced. It could be a very nuanced argument that he just, by the action of doing it, declassified. He didn't have to say it was declassified. The acts of the president or the words of the president, that what controls. I would argue that both would control. There's a reason why the president is given access to all these secrets and has the decision-making authority on what is private and what is classified. It could be by act, it could be by word. That's an argument that's going to go up the chain, and I don't see how any future president would be feasible to be regulated by different procedures and acts and whom he discloses things to and whatnot. It just seems like an impossible way for a president to carry out their job. Think about when a president talks to another chief executive and is engaging in diplomacy, and as part of that diplomacy would decide.
Oh, I think we lost you for a second there.
Sorry, I had my phone at the same time. But if a president was engaged in diplomacy and decided to declassify records, he'd have to go through a whole rigmarole to do that? I just don't think that's feasible.
I mean, it makes sense, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of this. The one thing that I find interesting, a lot of the same statutes that they've gone through all kinds of mental gymnastics to try to come after Donald Trump in New York, everybody's throwing a fit now because a lot of Democrats are being caught up in those same nets because everybody that's ever done that type of financial work does those exact same things, and now everybody's getting caught up in it. Sort of like, what did we do? So this whole one of the other arguments that I'm curious to see what the final outcome is going to be is the whole idea of presidential immunity. Because if presidential immunity doesn't apply, and can be rescinded, Barack Obama used drones to go after some terrorists and inadvertently killed Americans. There's no statute of limitations on murder. I don't think they understand the can of worms they're trying to open.
Everybody laughed at the arguments before the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals about whether or not the president can commit murder. Presidents murder people every year. It's part of the job, actually. I mean, we've seen President Biden murdering people right now in the name of an international conflict. So, yeah, presidents kill people. It's part of the job description. So when you argue that while you're doing official actions that you have immunity, I think that has been a given based upon the past history of actions by presidents. If the courts claim that there is no such thing as presidential immunity, it's going to open the floodgates for future presidents to really tiptoe around things and think about whether or not an official act is going to come around and bite them in the ass later on. Again, I don't see the Supreme Court, given its current makeup, declaring that a president isn't immune based upon his official acts as president.
Well, I didn't really see the Supreme Court thumping Texas on the nose yesterday either, so I don't really have much faith in them right now.
I absolutely did. The powers concerning our nation's borders is not a power that is reserved to the states. It's a federalism argument.
I mean, I understand that to a point, but at the same time, Texas is being invaded, and Texas should have the right to thwart the invasion since the government isn't.
Being invaded, and the Constitution grants the powers of controlling our border to who? Federal government. If the federal government chooses not to act or to act in a way contrary to what a state thinks is the right thing to do, you got to live with it. Unfortunately, that's the nature of federalism.
Well, also, it wasn't so much that they were saying that Texas can't enforce the law. They were just not letting the stay of the feds from taking everything down. That lawsuit is, from where I understood it, is still going They just stopped the stay that was put in place.
Right, but in doing so, the Supreme Court has basically confirmed what we all know about federal power concerning the border. It's delegated to them. So while the razor wire may be helpful to the populace there, and I certainly am sympathetic to the people in Texas dealing with this issue, the blame goes to the federal government. The better question, I think, is the political question that comes out of all this, which is what Peter Doocy was asking at the White House. Why is the president not protecting the border and then going after states who are attempting to fill in the gap that they've left? That, to me, is the point that's going to get the Biden administration more so and get people more upset than anything else.
Well, I brought this up regarding the Colorado effort to get Trump taken off the ballot because they're saying it was a constitutional violation by him when he hasn't been charged with insurrection, nor is anybody that stormed the Capitol on the 6th. But I would say we can just turn that around and say Joe Biden's in violation of the Constitution because he's not enforcing border laws as stipulated in the Constitution.
Right, but what's the remedy towards a president doing that? It's not bringing him up on charges or anything. It's impeachment. That's the sole remedy that's available if you want to accuse a president of, let's say, dereliction of duty.
Oh, sure. I mean, there's that course, but I'm just saying as far as the ballot measure for the state, if they want to incite.
He's saying if we're going to start playing tit for tat and doing the same thing the Democrats
you got just
doing.
as much right to remove Biden.
No, listen, I think you're absolutely right. And a state's interpretation of the 14th Amendment is not what's going to be controlling. Ultimately, it's a question that's left to SCOTUS, which is why it's going there. And I think most legal scholars, which I certainly am not, will tell you that what happened in Colorado is boldly unconstitutional. Not just unconstitutional, but way out of bounds.
For sure. No, there's no question about it. I mean, they're basically charging him with guilt for a crime he's not even been charged with.
Right.
As a constitutional violation. It's like, don't you first have to get brought up on charges or impeached before that comes into play?
Well, so here's the thing.
And tossed like a drunk at a roadhouse.
In fact, with due process or something like that, yeah, I mean, that whole due process thing is pretty sticky, isn't it?
Well, so here's the thing, and this is the part that nobody talks about, and this is why Nixon resigned. Because in order for a president to eventually be even looked at for potential criminal charges, there has to be the process through the House to have the hearing to see if they're eligible for impeachment. Then there has to be a vote by the Senate to impeach. They then have to be removed from office. And then, and only then, is it possible in some cases to pursue them for criminal charges. And that's what Trump's attorney keeps trying to tell everybody over and over and over again. The process wasn't completed. Yes, he had his trial. The verdict was that they felt they could move forward to the sentencing phase, and that he wasn't sentenced in the Senate with impeachment. So the process was never completed, and they keep saying this over and over again. And that's why the last judge was like, "Well, so you're telling me that if the president ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill somebody, he should be exempt from that? If he used SEAL Team 6 to say go after Joe Biden, he should be exempt from that." It's like, that's a ludicrous question. I'm not even answering that. What I'm telling you is he has immunity if he's acting in the interest of his office.
Well, you're exactly right in your analysis. The Senate did not convict Trump in either the first impeachment or the second impeachment. That's where it lies. That's where it's over. It died in the Senate. After that, you're going after a president extrajudicially for acts that were committed in his official capacity. Now, the counter argument to that is, well, this wasn't an act of the president in his official capacity. This was an act as part of his political campaign to become reelected for president. And the response to that argument would be there is necessarily a blurring of the lines between actions that are considered to be campaign actions when you're a president, because they have both effects. It has the effect of upholding the rule of law as the president sees fit, as well as the externality of the effect of his own campaign. We see speeches all the time by presidents that are considered official business that double as campaign activities. So those lines necessarily blur. And listen, I'm not saying that Trump is going to win every single argument, but I think he has an argument that he can make credibly, and it's just a matter of what 9 people think about that argument.
I mean, the whole point is, other than the stuff that's up in front of SCOTUS by now, by the time they exhaust appeals and everything else, he's probably going to, if he gets elected again, he'll be elected and pardon himself before any of this goes any further. But this opens up another whole can of worms for me for J6, because one of the things that I've been saying to everybody who's like, oh my God, he tried to incite violence and he did this and he tried to incite insurrection. I was like, dude, he was the commander-in-chief of the United States military. If he really wanted to incite violence, he could have simply called up the military and shot the first general that disagreed with him. For one. That's just putting it as bluntly as I can. If that was really his plan, there was a way he could have done it. We've seen it done in other countries. But this is the other thing that I keep coming back to. Because everybody talks about, Donald Trump trying to offer up the National Guard and everything, and Nancy Pelosi saying, no, we don't need them. I think that was her being afraid that he was trying to put the pieces in place to do that very thing, because they've been afraid he was going to do that the whole time. And I think that's part of what led to a bunch of bungled things, some of which was actually police mismanagement, because there was apparently a misfire of a less than lethal round that pissed a bunch of people off, and that was kind of, even Radio Shatter shows that. Then you've got the guy that's part of Nancy Pelosi's security detail basically saying that he saw an altercation between Proud Boys and somebody else. Closed circuit video footage shows him 300 yards away in a parking garage at the same time that he says he witnessed this. No, this is testimony that's been used to sentence grandmothers to like 40 years in jail. I have huge problems.
And look also, too, at the January 6th news that came out a couple days ago, where they deleted 2 terabytes worth of investigation evidence from the J6 committee.
Because it didn't
there's
a day or two before the GOP took over the House. So they've completely exposed themselves as being a kangaroo court. They were putting up select evidence, not all the evidence, as we all knew already. But the very fact that they were deleting evidence should be criminalized itself. They should go after them.
Yeah, that in and of itself should be an obstruction charge against that entire previous Congress, then, at least the group that was involved with J6. But, our Congress is largely a toothless animal that doesn't do half the things that it's supposed to do or that it should do, so I'm not really that surprised. Holy crap, that just jumped. Decision Desk HQ just updated to 94% reporting. Donald Trump is still sitting at 55.1%. Nikki Haley sitting at 44.2%. So I guess even though they called it kind of early, in my opinion, again, they were pretty well spot on again. So,
Well, New York Times has been projecting since about 8:30 that Trump would win by approximately 11 points. Looks like they were spot on as well. Who would have said? Who would have thunk it? New York Times of all places.
Which had to hurt. That had to hurt them.
Well, not really. I think that they're chomping at the bit for all the income that a summer of Trump versus Biden is going to bring them. CNN is chomping at the bit. MSDNC is chomping at the bit. They see ad revenue. They see ratings bonanza. Donald Trump is jackpot for all these people. They want Donald Trump to be the nominee. They need Donald Trump to be that nominee so they don't have to go through the next round of layoffs within their own organizations.
You're probably more right than I want to admit. It does all seem like it's all a money game anymore.
With that admission, I do have to go. So thanks for letting me jump on for a little bit. I appreciate it, Rick. Good to see you guys.
Not a problem, man. Have a great night.
See you, Gene.
Night.
Good talk.
Okay, Aggie, we need you to shut up now.
Oh, stop. Everybody was talking. I had nothing to contribute. Besides, I contributed a lot while you were gone.
Yeah, she actually hopped on early with me, so she was helping me carry the first hour.
So there.
All I'm going to say is Gene was one of the smart people.
Well, yeah, he is an attorney.
I'm just over here.
He likes to trash talk himself, but he has Esquire behind his name for a reason. Just saying.
I'm just going to sit over here and fill in for Orty until he shows up. I'm going to make fart noises.
It's Tuesday. We don't have Orty on the schedule unless he just decides he wants to pop in.
Okay. I'll still make fart noises.
I'm just saying, you get to do it for pretty much as long as you want, because I don't think we'll have an orgy tonight. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the fallout is. I'm still laughing my ass off, honestly, over them just putting 41% is write-in and basically trying to lump that in with Biden, because that's the little bit that I heard today was apparently, like I was telling Aggie earlier, there's a whole 30 and under crowd that were like, we're just in the write-in, like we're just gonna put ceasefire. So. Jeff said we may actually have an idea of what that breakdown is sometime tomorrow. I'm kind of looking forward to that. So there were a couple of special elections that I wasn't aware of. New Hampshire State House, Section 1, doesn't have anything counted yet, so I don't know if they had anything active. Looks like New Hampshire State House says COS 6. They use different terminology, so I don't exactly know what that means. But that was Michael Murphy actually picked that one up, apparently. They haven't called it yet, but he's still in the lead. And then it looks like in State House Stratford 11, there was a primary with only one person running who happened to be a Republican, so he got 100% of the vote. I don't know how some of this stuff works. How do you have a primary with only one person? I guess maybe their opponent didn't meet the deadline to get their name on the ballot. That just seems weird. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, as of right now, everybody that was convinced that Trump was going to be the guy, it kind of looks like they're going to get their wish, whether we want it to be him or not.
I'm just interested that this is, let's see, what's this update? 70% reporting. But they got Dean Phillips sitting with 23% versus Biden's 30%. Now, the question mark, of course, is the write-in. What percentage? I mean, if that breakdown holds. But still, that's a hell of a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, for a guy that nobody knew about until a couple months ago to be within 7 points. I mean, granted, Biden wasn't on the ballot. He decided he was going to take his ball and go home and try to make South Carolina first, apparently forgetting that New Hampshire has it in their constitution that they are the first primary in election season. Because I know in the Twitchy world they were asking that question today. They're like, why the hell is this the first actual primary when it's nowhere near Republican territory, blah blah blah? And I'm like, it's because it's in their constitution. Now who it was that had the big swinging dick at the time that managed to get that put into their constitution and it stuck, I don't really know, but it's there. I'm just like, I don't know what kind of clout it takes to swing that on a permanent basis that you get to be the opening salvo for elections as far as primaries. Which, I think explains why Iowa said, fuck it, we're going to do a caucus, because now we get to go first.
Well, I don't think the New Hampshire residents even knew about this, because they've got less than 57,000 votes on the Democrat side, and Nikki Haley herself exceeds that with her take. So
some people were being interviewed saying that they voted for Nikki Haley, but would vote for Joe Biden.
I was going to say this is one of those trying to see about being a spoiler kind of things, because New Hampshire is one of the places where you have, I believe how they term it is Democrat, a Republican, or undecided. I don't know if that's the exact word that they use. So you have the ability to register undeclared. There it is. So you have the ability to register as either Democrat, Republican, or undeclared. Undeclareds can vote in either primary. So I think one of the reasons why the turnout's been so low on the Democrat side is because you've got folks that are either legitimately disenfranchised with Joe Biden, which 50-50 shot on that, or people that were just trying to push Nikki Haley over the line to give Trump a black eye. Or you may even have
no, I actually covered some of that recently. It isn't as big a number as people say. Now, they had to, if they were going to switch, they had to do so by, I think, the first week of October.
Yeah, October the 8th. So, no, it's not.
They only had about 5,000 that went undeclared, and about another couple thousand maybe actually did switch to Republican from Democrat. But it was kind of a negligible number.
Well, the thing
in regards to what we're seeing for returns here today.
Well, the thing to keep in mind, though, is New Hampshire, in their undeclared side, their undeclared is actually bigger than their party affiliations. So there were already quite a few people that could vote in either one. I don't think it had the impact that everybody was afraid that it was going to have, because I know even Donald Trump was like, their governor should have fixed this. It's just the way it's been for a long time. And even I've been one of the people that have been screaming that, when it comes to primaries, the party should be able to pick their own people, and then everybody hashes it out afterwards. And then I hear from people like Stacey that have open primaries in Georgia, and they're like, well, no, we like to go screw with theirs too. And I'm like, then you're part of the problem. Don't complain about it when they do it, and then it's okay when we do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand that. As far as being able to pick the nominee, if they are part of a party, it should be that party picking who they want to put up against the other side. And I think that should be that way everywhere. Now, part of the reason why people say that shouldn't be the case is because it takes a conglomeration of people anymore to get somebody over the finish line as far as becoming president, being able, and I get that. Part of what pushed Reagan over the line in '80 was the Blue Dog Reagan Democrats.
The Blue Dog Democrats, yeah.
But again, after that, that's when the Democrats started trying to figure out how to use that to their advantage, because they seem to learn things a lot faster than we do. Maybe because up until now they've had a lot of the young vote. A lot of the young vote these days is going to the Democratic Socialist Party, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, which is why a big chunk of the Democratic movement is actually socialist. Because if you look at the under 30 demographic anymore, half of them think the world would be a better place if the Soviet Union still existed. How insane of a world is that?
But that was actually somewhere that Ron DeSantis had some traction in Iowa. He actually won on the Republican side with that 18 to 35 vote, I think it was, the Democrat measure. Well, he came out ahead on that one.
Yeah. And again, a lot of that, I think, was, trying to do what they could to destabilize the whole thing. There's always the game within the game, and and that's part of why I've been trying to tell people for as long as I've been doing this. It doesn't do any good to complain about the cheating unless you're going to do something to fix the cheating, because at this point, the cheating has been a feature in American elections for as long as there have been American elections. It's not a bug. There has been
right.
There's been.
That's why it disappears so quickly.
I missed something. That's why what disappeared so quickly?
Back in 2020, right? Remember, you had all that coming out right after, and the last part of November, first part of December, and then all of a sudden it just kind of went.
Well, the other reason it went away, to be honest, and this is the point that I keep trying to make to everybody, even if you can prove that the election was invalid and they didn't present enough to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, we don't have a mechanism in this country to overturn elections. Once that vote is certified, that's it. Which is why I was so pissed off that in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, people were still screaming about the stolen election. Look, even if it was stolen, and I'm not 100% either way, I do see, because 538's done their due diligence, there are several key cities in several swing states where there is a jump within about a 2-hour span that was 100% Biden, which is statistically impossible to happen in one jurisdiction, much less like 5 or 6. But even that being said, we don't have a mechanism to toss it out. And my next question is, should we? Because then they're just going to find a way to fuck with that mechanism. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is, cheating is part of the game. Donald Trump's campaign should have been ready for that, especially with Hillary Clinton yelling at him for cheating for 4 years. He should have been ready for it.
That's what blows my mind. He had 4 years. Romney, that bimbo, had 4 years. They had all this time to fix this before it came up, and they didn't.
But the problem is, they couldn't fix it, because even with all the things that had probably been tweaked in that first 2.5 years, all of that went out the door with COVID. And that's another reason why I'm so mad about the whole, now that Fauci's come out and said, well, we pulled social distancing out of our ass, and we admit that masking didn't fucking do any good. So you're telling me the entire basis to lock us in our homes, I mean, the only thing they didn't do that the Chinese did was come behind us and weld the doors closed. That's it. Everything else they pretty much did. So you're telling me everything that we did because you told us it was how we were going to be able to keep ourselves safe. Every step that we took, every action that we took was based on you screaming that we needed to trust the science when you guys were telling us what the science was and admitting to yourselves behind closed doors that you pulled every single bit of it out of your ass. Not only did you pull every single bit of it out of your ass, you were involved in all of it from day one. So no matter what they fixed or didn't fix, as soon as they passed all this emergency COVID shit and everybody was able to do, well, we're not going to do in-person voting because we don't want anybody to die from COVID and everybody's going to be able to get mail-in ballots, that was it. And that's part of the reason why in 2022 they left a lot of those protections in place, because that thwarted the red wave. Because it would have been in 2022 if not for them still using a lot of those same practices. Since then, Georgia's fixed some things. I think Wisconsin's fixed a few things. So I'm curious to see if our side has finally figured out that cheating is a feature, not a bug, and going to actually, go along to get along for once instead of just, oh my God, they cheated. We get it. They cheat every year.
Yes, if you accuse them for cheating and leave the stuff in place, you can grift off of it. And that's a big problem that the GOP has on their backside.
And I get that too, but it's the same thing that I said earlier. They have to win sometimes too, because it's the only way to keep the grift in place. So yes, they do like being the loser most of the time. They like being able to fundraise off of being the loser, but they also have to win every so often and do just enough to keep the donors on the hook. Otherwise, the grift doesn't work anymore. So I think this will be one of the times that they win. I think it will be a squeak out. I think it will. And the thing about it is, and this is what I keep telling everybody, don't think that Trump's going to get a lot done, even if he does win, because they lit the entire country on fire for 4 years. Do you think they're not going to do it again? This is why I wanted somebody else. But no. It's got to be, it's his turn.
He's due. He's owed.
We don't owe nobody nothing, and it's the same thing.
Well, that's so much of this that I hate, is that all this obligation talk that's going around. Like, we owe it to them to give them our vote. We have to support him now.
Yes.
No.
After all these months of telling us that we're dead to them and they don't want us. And
this is why you should have been here at the first hour, because that's all I was screeching.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can make it up to me next week during the regular show.
I was eating tacos and playing with my grandbabies.
I made tacos for dinner too.
We didn't. I probably should have.
Invite me.
I figured your grandbabies came first.
Hey, you already said you already told everybody you had tacos. She didn't need to invite you.
Oh, by the way,
beside the point. It's the thought.
So Greg Abbott has answered SCOTUS with adding more concertina wire.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'm
like, well, okay then.
I'm telling you, I think we are in a cold civil war.
Oh yeah.
Well.
Oh yeah.
That book I posted, The Eyes of Texas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I read that back in '85, and it's basically Texas telling the federal government, pack sand.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I honestly thought Texas was about to secede during the Obama administration, because halfway through his second term, we had a farm team for them here. They sold off the farm team to California, and it became the Dodgers. And then I started reading all this stuff about Texas calling their gold home, and I'm like, they're about to fucking leave. And then they never did. I was kind of mad. Yeah, they apparently even pulled what little bit of gold Texas had in the Federal Reserve. They pulled it home right about the same time they sold off all their farm teams, except for the ones that were local. So I'm like, yeah, they're about to leave the country. And then they didn't. But now I think they're getting close again. I think they're about to just be like. But the thing about it is, Texas, up until the Civil War, always had a we can leave whenever we want clause. A lot of people don't realize that actually got revoked when they came back in. So they can't leave as easily as they did the first time, but I still think they're thinking about it. which is why they have a single star on their flag, because it was representing the fact that if they ever wanted to, they could just become their own country and tell everybody to fuck off. Apparently, sometime after the Civil War, that got changed, at least according to modern history books. I don't live in Texas, so I could be wrong, but the folks that write the history up this way are claiming they can't do that as easily anymore. But I guess we might be about to find out.
Well, I do know that.
Never underestimate human will.
Well, I don't.
Yes, I'm drinking.
I don't blame you.
The other thing is Texas grid is not tied to the rest of the U.S. except in very small spots.
And, well, as it should be, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Texas start to kick off a secession movement. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, all I know is the Red River rivalry has to live, so we're going with I will find a way to make it happen.
We're taking Oklahoma with us, bringing Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. Arkansas, I'm still out on.
Hey, wait! If we
Razorbacks,
wait, if we all secede and we take Florida, does that mean we can make DeSantis our president?
That's the plan. I know for a fact that Governor Abbott would never want to be president.
Oh, I know. That's why I did. That's why I didn't say
He never had those
him.
aspirations. He was quite content just being governor and making sure that Texas ran as well as it could run.
Well, yeah, that's why I didn't say we should make Abbott the president.
He's like Riker.
Yeah,
he's good at number 2. You know, so.
I mean, Riker did eventually take a captaincy, but that was only for character, not because.
Yeah, so did Spock, but come on.
But yeah. Oh. I still thought it was funny. Just a little side note: at the very last episode of Picard season 3, Data and Riker are talking, and he still calls him Commander.
Yeah, see?
even though he's been a captain for like 30 some odd years at this point. But then again, Data was dead for most of that time. So.
Oh, Star Trek. Okay, now I'm going to stop my search on Politico for Riker.
Really?
I want to say he's pulling our leg, but I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not a Trekkie.
He's probably not. I was just.
I don't recall a Riker on Star Trek.
This is where Brad and I diverge.
I'm just trying to figure out how somebody who does mostly culture shit doesn't even generally know stuff about Star Trek. That just seems weird to me.
I don't know all of the culture.
He does know more than me, though, Rick.
I know the culture except for the nerd culture. Damn it.
Well, that's why I have Orty. You know, I do Hollywood and the business side of things. He does nerd culture and
he does nerd shit.
There you go. We've got that. This way, we have the show covering all of culture.
Oh well, Trump is giving his congratulatory speech. I am not unmuting because the last time I did that, everybody left the chat.
It's like, what could he possibly say that's of any import at this point?
Well, I mean, so one of the things that Aggie and I were talking about earlier is the fact that for the first time since I've seen this man in the realm of politics, he actually was trying to be conciliatory towards DeSantis and the DeSantis crew, and the people that were the whole, Trump or else crowd are still being dicks. I'm like, I thought you guys were, loyal to this dude. So he's telling everybody, hey, it was time for us to start coming together. And y'all are still like, fuck you. We didn't need you guys then. We didn't need you now. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. You're going to need us in November. Whether you want to admit it or not.
Like I said at the beginning of the show.
Billy did it.
Oh, God, don't get me started on that piece of excrement. Ugh, I hate that guy. But, like I said at the beginning of the show, there are some people who were on the Trump side who were not hostile to the DeSantis side.
No.
And are legitimately asking people on the DeSantis side to think, to unify. And I get that. And I'm all about that. But it's the ones that were extremely hostile who are now saying, you have to vote with us now because it's about, we must unite. That really tap my ass. But there are still some out there that are still very hostile to the DeSantis camp, to the point where they still say, we don't need your vote. And they're still hostile to DeSantis. They're hostile to his wife. They're hostile to everybody in Florida by association. And and like I said, I stayed out of that whole fray because they were so stupid targeting each other instead of targeting the real the problem, which was, Biden. And so now you have this schism that people are trying to fix. And I'm like, there's some people like me that will hold a grudge and will not cross any bridge that you may put out there.
Y'all see what
they just won't.
Did you see what Tammy got blasted with today?
I did
Tamzilla?
not.
No.
Well, she posted on there about something about not voting for Trump, and she was, oh my God.
She was livid. Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, you go, girl. And she's one of them. Mm-hmm. She's one of them that was vilified by MAGA people, and people were called DeSimps, and they were called maggots, and it was so ugly. And I'm like, y'all had the opportunity. Y'all had the opportunity to actually target Biden and keep it to that. And if y'all had done that, this wouldn't be the disarray that it is today.
Well, so it takes me a minute to figure out who you guys are talking about when you drop her at, because I don't ever pay attention to that. But she has a very valid reason as to why she's not voting with Trump.
Oh, yeah. Extremely valid.
She's actually agreed to let me put her story out, so she's emailed me the particulars today, so I'm going to be putting that together tomorrow and then sending it to Jen to go out on. It's going to wind up going out on Misfits first, because nobody else wants it, because it's considered anti-Trump, and they're like, we don't want to piss off our readers. I'm like, okay, cool, I get that. I don't have that problem, because I don't care who I piss off. Because, and this is the thing. I said, I know you and I are on different tacks, but I want you to understand the only reason that I'm voting for him is because I'm team anybody but Biden. So I don't want you to think that I don't agree with why you're not wanting to vote for him, and that I'm not. And I told her, I said, even if he's in the Oval Office, I'm still going to be one of the people pushing to get these answers as to why he was so big on Operation Warp Speed and why he was so big on even allowing them to shout him down regarding things like hydroxychloroquine, and because it all became a money game. It was all about making sure that people had to take the $4,000 per dose treatments, and even though a lot of people were getting those vaccines were free to people to take, but the government was still buying them. It was all a freaking money game. And then to find out that the Leprechaun of the Potomac had stock in that damn company, that shit pisses me off. They should not be allowed to put up stuff in companies that they have a vested interest in. I don't care who they are. That's just, to me, that just smacks of so much impropriety. And then to find out that, her son was on that treatment, and it didn't save him. They were actually giving her positive updates, because they were able to, and this will all come out in the next few days, but they were giving positive updates about his progress, and then just one day that was it. And this was after they had put him on a ventilator, given him remdesivir, all of the above. All the things that were supposed to keep you safe. The vaccine, the remdesivir, all of it. They did all of it because they didn't know what else to do. And he still died. And she can't get any answers. And she has no recourse because you can't sue because of all the emergency protections in place. And she's not the only one. That's why I keep trying to tell everybody, some of these people that are legitimately just diametrically opposed to Trump, that are the angriest about it, it's because they know people that were caught up in this COVID stuff. And even, I watched my dad, he was afraid to leave his house for a year because he's diabetic and was considered morbidly obese at the time. He's had the vaccines. His health hasn't been that great since he's had the vaccines. Luckily, he hasn't had some of the weird stuff go on that everybody else has had, but his health is still not like it was. And to now sit here and listen to Dr. Fauci say, well, you know, that social distancing thing, that just kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. And, you know, the masking idea, we knew that wasn't going to work because the molecules were smaller than the holes in the masks. To have that come out years later and to realize that they were lying to our faces to placate us into safety while also trying to keep us locked up in our homes, there was no reason for them to shut anything down. Because they were all pulling
us in the process.
They were all pulling it from their asses, and those of us that were like, "This is bullshit," that had even the basic understanding of biology is like, "That's not how any of this works." Well, you've been deplatformed. You've been canceled. I mean, hell, Stacy and I had the highest rated show on KLRN radio for the first month or so that we were doing this until they realized that we were talking about stuff they didn't want us to talk about. And then it was like nobody could find us except for the people that were in the chat. I was getting emails all the time. What happened to you guys' morning show? I'm like, it's still there. You just have to go find it. You'll have to dig around for a while because they're not letting anybody see it anymore. Because it was, we were talking about all the things that nobody wanted talked about because it all became a money game and a shell game. And that's part of what pissed me off. Even last night, I heard Donald Trump talking about how, well, I never really listened to Fauci that much. He was more Biden's boy than mine. And I'm like, dude, he was leading the charge in this shit for the last year and a half you were in office, brother. Let's call bullshit and just move on. But that's what I keep telling everybody. Even if he winds up getting elected, I will still be one of the people screaming for answers to these questions because he was the guy in charge. He was the one that let it have happen. And the thing that I can't make the people, he's the only person that can beat Biden. Well, he didn't beat him in 20. That's because of the cheating. He signed into law most of what made the cheating eligible. What makes you think this time's going to be different? He has no pen.
No, I mean, just look at how baseless Trump is, where he was trying to accuse DeSantis of being in favor of lockdowns when that was a federal mandate. And numerous other things that he's trying to scorch the guy. You could just see this weekend. The moment Ron DeSantis backed out of the race, Trump announced he's no longer calling him Ron DeSanctimonious. I mean,
gee.
It's just shows you he'll just say whatever is necessary at the time. There's no, and I've been saying this since he ran in the first time.
Oh, I know. I watched it when he came after Ted Cruz and, you know, accused his dad of being like the third gunman on the grassy knoll, and freaking Ted Cruz was a Zodiac killer and his wife was having affairs and Ted was having affairs. And that's when I was still writing for American Action News, and I put out an op-ed that was like the last time they ever wanted me to submit anything. They're like, we'll run it, but we probably won't ask you to put anything else up. I was like, good. I don't really care. But I basically said, you know, if I were Ted Cruz at that next debate, I would have just walked up on the stage, turned and looked at everybody, turned and looked at Donald Trump, knocked him in the fucking jaw, knocked his ass out, and then turned on heel and said, if that's who you want, take him, I'm out. Because where I'm from, you don't talk shit about a man's wife. Period. And that would have been the end of it. And I would have been done. And they're like, yeah, we'll run it. And then they're like, yeah, we don't really want you to submit anything else. People didn't like it. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. It's not, I mean, you know, this whole Trump phenomenon is really starting to get on my nerves. It's like nobody wants anybody to give honest opinions when it comes to that man. Because they're like, yeah, it's just going to piss everybody off.
But, Rick, you said it the other day. And I think you were on your show or we were talking, because he hasn't, you know, if he didn't know about this, why isn't he as pissed as the rest of us?
Yeah, I mean, that's as soon as that stuff started coming out, I was like, guys, I guarantee you he knew at some point, because it took a long time for us to hear this, but you know he had to know something was up when it went from 2 weeks to sow the spread to until we tell you otherwise. Because that's the whole reason Stacy and I started doing a morning show in the first place, was because I was told I was going to only be able to work from home for 2 weeks, and I didn't want my schedule to get all screwed up, and then me getting used to being able to roll out of bed at 8:15 and go log in. So I was like, yeah, we'll just get up at the time I normally get up, and we'll do a show instead, and then I'll do my job. And then a month went by, and we were still doing the show. 2 months went by, and we were still doing the show. 3 months went by, and we were still doing the show. And it's like, that name doesn't really suit it anymore, so we should rebrand it and start over. So we did, and then, a few months later, my life went to shit, and then we tabled that one, and, But, it all started as kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of way for us to, kind of, everybody was freaking the fuck out at the time. I still remember some of the mornings getting up and turning on news reports, getting ready, and there's places in, like, Australia and Thailand and a few other places that were putting out reports that people they thought were dead from COVID were actually still alive. And I'm like, wait, is this turning into the Walking Dead kind of shit? And Stacy and I really talked about that one morning, because it was honestly something that we were kind of scared of when we started hearing all these reports. And we're like, is this how the zombie apocalypse starts? It kind of feels like this is how the zombie apocalypse starts. But yeah, turns out we've had a zombie apocalypse. It's just most of them are tied to screens now. Just, I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, it was one thing after another, and I'm just, I feel like there are questions that we need answered, and nobody's willing to ask them because they're too afraid that if they ask them, they're going to piss off the wrong people, and they're never going to be heard from again. Maybe I'm just psychotic and don't really care.
I just remember just all the bull crap that we were being fed at the time, and for the most part, people were swallowing it. Like, we had to stay indoors, but you're still allowed to go to the grocery store. As long as they had tape on the floor with arrows in one direction. Because I recall I would go to the store, and I would walk in the other direction, and people would look at me like I was a heretic.
I remember doing that. There were a couple times.
They would like turn around and they're looking at you wide-eyed aghast. They're like, and it's like the virus isn't a one-way street. It's the same bullshit. If you're standing, wear a mask. If you're sitting down to eat, take the mask off.
Remember what they said in March, right? Right as they were coming up with the lockdowns, and before that, if you're outside, go outside, get sunshine. Ultraviolet kills the virus quickly. All this. And it all disappeared suddenly. We had to lock down. You can't go out walking anywhere.
Part of that was because somebody put out some weird shit about, using a tanning lamp on your bunghole or something, and it just, everybody kind of got weirded out, and it just, but yeah, there was a lot of crazy shit that came out during COVID. But I mean,
I don't understand. Don't people suntan their bunghole?
I've never tried to. I'm not gonna lie.
What if you were doing that before COVID?
That's what I'm saying. That's unusual.
Maybe that's why I never caught it.
Yeah, I mean,
I cannot believe I am listening to this.
I'm even speechless at this point.
I'm not a healthcare professional. Full disclosure, there. Feel better?
Well,
not really.
I've had it twice, and I avoid the sun, so there's that.
See, Aggie, and you live in Texas.
Yes, but I take care of my skin. Okay, I have this thing about basal cell carcinoma shit. Okay, I don't relish that. So I like to take care of my skin.
But you don't have a prostate, so you can't get prostate cancer from suntanning your bunghole.
Yeah, but she can get skin cancer.
Yes.
Lord, this conversation. I am so not. No, I'm just going to sit here and drink.
I love you, Aggie.
Love you back.
Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable when the doctor says you don't have colon cancer, but your colon has skin cancer. I'm not sure how that happened.
Oh, wow. This took a turn.
But one of my favorite episodes, though, during the whole thing was this, it was a video, I think it was from South America, It was this couple doing a tango contest, and they were dancing outside, and they both had masks on. And it was cold out at the time because of the tilt of the earth or some scientific thing like that, if you believe in that crap. But they're out there spinning and twirling and stuff, and you could see their breath because it was so cold through the mask.
Yeah, which proves the mask would have been...
It's like, I'm sorry, you're expelling water droplets, but you're telling me the water droplets don't go into the mask. Science.
But yeah, well, that's why, I mean, Fauci, even way back in February, before it became all the rage, was like, masks aren't really going to do any good. And then I guess somebody figured out that it would be a nice little placebo effect if we told everybody masks would work. And then I think Fauci at one point felt guilty about it, which is why he was telling everybody, if you go out in public, wear 3 masks. Because at least then maybe the holes didn't line up exactly right, so maybe you weren't expelling so much water vapor. But it's just the whole thing, just looking back at it, when those stories broke a couple weeks ago, that he admitted behind closed doors that everything that they told us was the science and we had to believe and follow the science was all just made up bullshit. I mean, not that we didn't know it, because a lot of us did, but to hear that he actually confirmed it, and then the fact that still nobody's really talking about it.
AIDS epidemic. And for the life of me, I don't understand how that man stayed in the position that he did for the decades that he was in, because he bungled the AIDS epidemic completely.
Yes, he did.
Dude, he did.
He said some things that were just outrageously false, and it drove a state of fear for nearly a decade with that disease. And for the life of me, I don't understand how he kept his job, much less got elevated, even beyond
Especially
the
with
Peter
all
principle.
the crap that he was saying at that point in time.
Well, I mean, it's not just the stuff that he was saying. That dude was doing some Mangala level crap, and nobody ever called him on it.
Nope.
Yep. Well, you knew the masks were not good because in 2020, in August, September, we had all those wildfires, all that smoke, right? And they were saying that, yes, you can't use the mask for the smoke because it won't filter the smoke elements out. They're too small, but it's good for the virus.
Yeah. Sure.
And it's like, excuse me? And plus the fact that now you go look at the surgical masks now, they've changed it. They don't have that little warning on them anymore.
Yeah. At this point, this is when you guys should picture the Nathan Fillion gif doing the whole wait, what hand motion. Yeah, because that's kind of where I am right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, and so that's why I firmly understand some of the people that are just vitriolically opposed for voting for Trump again. Because I was until he got the nomination in 2016. And, well, even after, like I said, I was so diametrically opposed to that man getting in office because I believed the whole he was going to have this glowing in the dark bullshit and everything else, that I'm a registered libertarian now. That wasn't even possible in Oklahoma before 2015 because I helped make it happen. Because we have a very draconian election law system in Oklahoma, and it's almost impossible to get another party on the ballot here. And I was one of the people that actually helped make that happen. I went out and gathered signatures, and I went to meetings, and I did this, and I did that. And for most of 2015 and up until basically October of 2016, I had the head of the Libertarian Party, Nicholas Sarwark, was on my podcast like 4 different times. Because I was trying to give people an alternative because of how afraid I was of Donald Trump getting into office. So it's not like I haven't had the same feeling that the left has when it comes to Donald Trump. I understand why they're afraid to a point. Or I did. I don't now, because most of what they said he was going to do, he didn't actually do. They've even had to gin up a lot of the things that they said he was going to do at the end to make it look like that's what he tried to do, but it doesn't make any sense because no boomsticks, no insurrection. You can't try to, I mean, wait, you're telling me some people that, may have had some mace in their purses and had, when things started going sideways, picked up flagpoles and started trying to use them as weapons, those were the people that were going to overthrow the government? According to Joe Biden, you need an F-15 to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the same guy that's telling us that we committed insurrection is the same guy that says the Second Amendment's stupid because you have to have an F-15 if you're going to try to come up against the United States military, son. So which one is it? Can we have an insurrection with pepper spray and flagpoles, or do we have to have an F-15, Joe?
But see, Rick, you're underscoring what I said over at Red State a couple weeks ago, which is that I'm really looking at this coming election in the same way as walking in the break room at work at 10:30 in the morning and looking at the donuts that are left over that nobody wanted.
That's kind of how I feel.
That's your choice.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we are. Because, I mean, I've been saying all along, DeSantis, if not for Trump going on his revenge tour, DeSantis would probably be the one that was out in front right now. Because he put together COVID policies that actually worked. He's actually unseated leftist district attorneys that he's taken on Disney and kind of put them in their place to the point where even they're backing off of the wokeness a little bit. I don't know how long that's going to last, but a little bit. And it's just, he has none of the baggage. He has all of the pluses of Trump, can articulate his positions better, and none of the baggage. And yet, we want this guy again, who...
Well, just look at the last few months. He was the only candidate talking about issues. Donald Trump is not, because he doesn't have to. And Nikki Haley was basically just making stuff up on the fly to the point that people are pointing and laughing. He's actually able to indicate, I've done this, we made this happen, this is what I did as a governor, and this is what I want to do nationwide. If you listen to him and not the media telling you how horrible of a candidate he was a fantastic candidate. He smoked just about every debate they were in. If you look at his town halls that he's held and the interviews he does, he makes so much sense that you're like, holy crap, yes, obviously that's what we're going to do. And yet everybody turned their back on his campaign. And it's just staggering to watch because where I live, I've seen all his policies firsthand. And I've lived in a blue or a purple state for most of my life, and this place is hardcore red now and getting redder because of
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff actually brought up a good point. Why was it necessary for Gavin Newsom to debate Ron DeSantis if Gavin Newsom's not even in the race?
Yeah.
And he wasn't debating governor to governor. He was debating. He wanted to debate the policies from a presidential point of view. So. And Ron he didn't wipe the floor with DeSantis. He basically greased all of the old axles with DeSantis' hair. It was that bad. So
he beat him so bad, his wife had to step in and say, "That's enough.
Stop. He's already dead." I kept seeing that gif from The Simpsons in my head. Stop. He's already dead.
Basically, Gavin Newsom said, "You're lucky my chick's here."
I mean, it was just atrocious to watch. I mean, and that was my first thought. Is I'm like, why is there a debate going on between this guy and this guy when one of them's not even supposedly trying to run for the office? And I get, it's another one of those. There's not really a mechanism in place kind of things, but I still am honestly surprised that it looks like they're going with Joe Biden because. Even the media has been trying to talk them out of it for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm still expecting like a medical emergency to come up.
Well, I mean, and Stacey's mentioned that point, but I mean, that's still, I mean, it would basically fall to them at this point still having to vote for that ticket, and then, I mean, unless they do some weird shit at their convention, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean... Well, That whole thing was just weird to me. I mean, it was fun to watch, don't get me wrong, because DeSantis was just basically wiping the floor with Governor Hair Gel, and it was amazing. But then, of course, you turn on Laura Loomer's X feed, and she's like, DeSantis got his ass kicked. I'm like, you just get off Trump's dick. Jesus.
Well, yeah, she wrote those tweets at 5 p.m.
It's just, I don't know.
Well, I'm still wondering what they're going to do because they don't want Harris anymore.
I don't know if y'all heard. Gary Graham passed away.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm verklempt. I cannot. Oh man, I'm shook. Oh man.
That
His
sucks.
his ex-wife confirmed it.
That sucks. I love that guy.
Me too.
He was in Alien Nation. He was in Enterprise. He was, dude. He was in everything.
Yeah, I just saw the news. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, I mean
figure...
it's a breaking news story. It deserves interruption. I still think it's funny that he's best known for his role in Enterprise when he was on Alien Nation for much longer. Well, I guess not. I guess Alien Nation was one of those ones that was in syndication, so it just seemed like it was around a lot longer. So I guess Enterprise did run longer.
That's weird. He passed away 2 days ago, but it was just now disclosed. So the news broke today.
And who was this? I'm sorry, my feed broke.
Gary Graham. He was
He looks like
really
Billy
good
Bob
character
Thornton.
actor. Remember the Alien Nation TV series?
Right. No, I know the guy. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you had said earlier. That's why.
Yeah, he was only 73. Holy crap.
That's what I'm saying. I'm 50. All these people dying at like 60-something and 70-something are making me fucking nervous now. It used to, when I was a kid and they died at like 70, I was like, dude, they're old. Now I'm like, dude, that's only 20-some-odd years away. I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, I mean, dude, he was in everything. He was in shows like The Incredible Hulk, Starsky and Hutch, Policewoman, 8 is Enough. I mean, he was in movies like The Spy Within, The Last Warrior, The Arrogant, All the Right Moves, Robot Jocks. I forgot about Robot Jocks.
The Hollywood Nights, remember? Oh my god, I love that movie.
And then but yeah.
And you're never going to see it again.
Not without crying. Sorry.
What movie?
The Hollywood Nights. Holy shit, I think I was in junior high when it came out.
Oh, it was in the 80s?
Yeah.
I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
early 80s.
Late 70s, I think.
And they don't.
Yeah, the problem is
didn't have.
their soundtrack was filled with Motown hits that they don't have the rights to, so it can never get released.
Nope. But I remember it.
Robert Wool.
So
He looks like Thornton.
So yeah, apparently according to the New York Times, his first appearance that anybody can find recorded was in 1976 in an episode of The Quest that starred Kurt Russell and Tim Matheson, which marked his first actual credited appearance. So he's been in credited roles since 1976. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. That is sad. Another great one gone.
I keep seeing about a 1994 movie for Alien Nation called Dark Horizon. I don't remember if I've seen that. I'm gonna have to see if I'm gonna have to see if I can find that. Because apparently there were all kinds of movies for. I remember the series. I don't remember the movies, but there were a whole bunch of movies apparently.
I don't. There was a movie that the series was based on.
Well, yeah, no. No. What I'm saying is there was the original movie, which
Then
is what the series was based on, and then they had.
There was the original movie, there was TV series, and then made TV movies.
Yeah,
I recall.
apparently there were a lot.
Yeah,
of
I think the original
made-for-TV
was James
movies.
Caan and Mandy Patinkin, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct.
See, I can do geek stuff.
Nerd. But yeah, apparently there was Alien Nation Dark Horizon in 94, Alien Nation Body and Soul 95. I think I half remember that one. Alien Nation Millennium in 96, Alien Nation The Enemy Within was also in 96, and Alien Nation The Old Era Legacy in 97. That's a lot of movies. I don't remember some of those. I'm going to have to go see if I can find them now. Because I really
Sci-fi.
I liked the original movie. Don't get me wrong, but I preferred the series, and I don't know, it was just something about the chemistry between the two actors in the series that kind of clicked. But the funny
It did. It was really cool.
But Yeah, I think the funniest part for me in the series, and I still honestly blame Alien Nation for the beginning of our men can be pregnant saga that we're going through now, was finding out that George was the one that was carrying the child. I'm like, that's just wrong.
But no, to be fair, he was at least an alien, so they could get away with that. The movie Junior was the one that fucked it up for everybody.
This is true. Oh.
However, you're all giving him short shrift here because he also starred alongside Shaquille O'Neal in Steel.
In Steel.
I mentioned that one in the read-through I did earlier. It just got cut off because it was right after Robot Jocks. And that was when Aggie started talking about the other one.
It's all right.
Hollywood
We still have Harambe.
Oh, God.
There's a callback I haven't heard in a minute.
You really should listen to The Adventures of Tom Stranger.
No, I remember Breitbart's early days when he first started. Gary became a contributor there, and we used to engage in the, he would write the column, and then I would reply to the column, comments, and he would reply to mine, and we would engage in there. And he finally asked me if I had, a social media account, and I said, oh yeah, and so he sent me a friend request, and I accepted. And then Nick Searcy found out that I was friends with Gary Graham, so he sent me a friend request. This was before Nick Searcy got, his account got big.
Oh, nice.
He had like maybe 400 friends or something like that. And he said, I refuse to allow Gary to have more friends than me. It's like, wow, okay. And then Nick Searcy got really, really big, and Justified came along, and he just forgot about the little people. Well, not really.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You kind of have to be a nerd to know who Nick Searcy was before Justified.
Oh no, I did, and I told him straight out, I've been a fan of yours since Fried Green Tomatoes, even though you were the evil son of a bitch in it. And he was like, oh, really? Okay, you're my favorite now.
Yeah, no.
Like, okay.
I'm not a fan of Fried Green Tomatoes. However, I did used to watch a sci-fi time travel show called 7 Days that had him in it that I absolutely loved.
Oh yeah, I remember that one too. And of course, everybody forgets that he was actually in the movie Castaway.
he was Wilson, wasn't he? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
The voice of.
He was one of the pilot. I think he was on the pilot in the FedEx plane with before it crashed. That one. So he was a friend of, obviously, of Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
He didn't survive.
But all right, well, gang, I think we've, other than
we've covered everything.
Breaking the last little bit of story that was unfortunately some sad news. I think we've covered everything election related, because right now the panel on ABC looks like they all want to slash their wrists right now.
That's nice.
Well, of course.
I just want to know in the other. Did Chris Christie come in last?
Actually, let me see if I can find those again, because somehow I got on ABC. Hang on.
It doesn't show it on the Twitchy and the decision desk. It just shows other, like it did with the Iowa.
Yeah. But I know
the KFC precinct has yet to report, so we don't have any numbers on them.
Well, I know last time they did a much better job, but hang on. Let's see. If you go to Yahoo News and drill down, it's still there. Hang on. No. Actually, Chris Christie beat total write-ins, but just barely. He has 342 votes. Total write-ins has 306. So he did not get his ass kicked by other this time. I'm kind of sad by that.
Did Asia beat him? No, I guess not.
No.
I guess not.
No, Asa only got 29 votes, so 0.2%, 0.02%. Tim Scott got 33, Doug Burgum got 50, Binky, who's apparently even still in the race, I had no idea. Yeah, I got a total of 73 votes. Why that dude is still throwing good money after bad, I don't know. Mike Pence, who was not even in the race, apparently got 116 votes. So, yay.
Oh, there's 116 of those write-ins.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you drill down on the Republican side, it has a breakdown of who the write-ins were for. It doesn't just say other, or it says total write-ins, which was a total of 316. But then it has like Mike Pence, who's not on the ballot. So obviously, some of those were the write-ins. But on the Democratic side, it doesn't do that. So I still honestly really think that most of a good number of that percentage is probably that whole we're going to write in ceasefire. I'll be interested. I'm going to have to pay attention to the news stories out in New Hampshire tomorrow to see if they ever say.
Okay, so why ceasefire?
Because of Hamas.
So. God, it always.
Israel needs to go for a ceasefire, even though Hamas just said, "No, we're not going to release the hostages for 2 months and take 2 months of cease hostilities."
Well, yeah, there was a young woman who was out she's at the Sundance Film Festival, and she said that there's obviously protesting going on about needing to the occupation of Gaza to end and blah blah blah. And she's asking them, it's like, so which river and which sea? And most of them didn't know.
Yeah,
most of them thought that they meant the Red Sea or the Black Sea. The river that's next to that's next to Gaza, but they don't know the name of it. They just don't know.
Well, I mean,
Sundance, they probably would have said River Phoenix.
They're not old enough to know who that is, there, Brad.
Show a Harvard graduate a blank map of the United States of America, and half of them couldn't show you where Iowa was. So is it really any surprise that they have no idea the geography of Israel?
No.
In the middle.
Oh.
I have to agree with Jeff. Vermin Supreme or Paperboy Love Prince should get more. If they beat Christie, even though they're Democratic, I'd be happy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I'm still waiting for the whole libertarian. I mean, I know they've already done it, but I was waiting for the libertarian convention so we could figure out who came out naked and rubbed down with green Jello, because Demolition Man drink.
Is that all that's required? to be the nominee?
No, it's just a line. It's actually it's a part of a line from Demolition Man that used to be in my America Off the Rails intro from way back in the day. I want fried foods and I don't remember the rest of it, but then he goes on to say, and I want to be able to run naked down the street covered in green Jello if that's what I want to do, because I want to do it. Or something like that. I don't know, it's been forever since I've heard it.
Dennis Leary can deliver a line like that pretty easily.
Yes, he can. But yeah, that was actually back when I was using the Ozzy Osbourne intro before I got a cease and desist letter from Ozzy Osbourne's attorney. That was actually part of the voiceover that was part of that intro. Yeah, anyway.
Alrighty. I guess we should say goodnight, or at least I should, because it's after 9.
Yeah, probably should anyway, because I've been doing this since 6:30 our time, so it's been a while.
Yeah, I was like, I'll just be in for an hour, people will rotate. Here I am, 3 hours later.
You had things. It's all good. You had things.
Yeah,
all right,
okay.
so let's go newest member to oldest member. Since you do have your own show now, Andrew, where can folks find you?
I'm going to presume you said something to me because you dropped right there when you said the name.
Yeah, Andrew.
I have a new cast called From the Basement, and I'm not sure. I'm working on get my new laptop. I'm trying to get it all set up. I just got to figure out how to get music on it. And then I may record and just load one up here soon.
You can
thought about doing
You can actually do that from the Spreaker deck, my dude. I can show you as far as mixing the music and stuff in.
Okay. Well, I know I can do it. It's just the laptop doesn't have music on it.
Oh, that's it. That's an easy enough fix too. I can show you how to fix that. But yeah,
and then
keep going. Sorry.
And then also Twitter at Nuke MM1 Retired, and I'm Toxic Masculinity, which I believe was next Wednesday.
Yeah, should be next week. Should be.
And I need to go to the poll account and see how the polls are doing, see if I can update those or not.
I'm telling you, you missed a layup on the name of your podcast. It should have been Live from Your Mom's Basement. This is Andrew. Just saying.
Well, I can't do. I'm not the mom man. That's Odie.
It's a KLRN thing. We're all kind of slowly becoming the mom men. All right, and I think, Aggie, you are up next, because I think you started after Brad, or sometime around the same time, and since I'm not sure, ladies first. Aggie, where can folks find you?
Well, you can find me at Aggie Rican and at Aggie the Barkeep. Those are over on X. You can also find me here, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday nights, doing the Cocktail Lounge with the aforementioned Brad. Friday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, doing He Said, She Said with our awesome producer, Rick, of late. But I can't do it this Friday, but I'll let you know why. So we have to make arrangements for somebody else.
It's all good. I'll either see if I can pull together a all-dude show, or we'll just take the night off. Something, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Not a big deal one way or the other.
And then, the last Wednesday of every month, 8 p.m. Eastern, we do Toxic Masculinity, and Jeff and I have decided to start up our new book podcast, Spirited Books, and that's every second Monday, also at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Jeff, you have a standing invite on Toxic. You have a standing invite on Toxic. You don't ever take me up on it because you say it's too early. But anyway. And Brad, since it's going to take us about 20 minutes each to tell everybody all our shit, where can folks find you?
Oh, stop. I'm pretty easy to find, though. You can head over to townhall.com daily on the front page. You'll see my media column there called Rift from the Headlines. I'm also very frequently on the front page of Red State. I've got twice weekly podcast there called Liable Sources. And if you want to hear more of me on this network, Thursday nights I'm here either with Wardy Packard on the Culture Shift with entertainment coverage, or with Paul Young on the bad movie, bad Hollywood side of things with Disasters in the Making. And then Aggie and myself co-mingle Tuesday evenings at 8:30 on the Cocktail Lounge, where we go through leisure and culture and sports and all other manner of distractions of a happy nature. And then if you need more of me than that, and let's face it, you do, you head over to Jitter, and I'm at Martini Shark.
All right. Well, you can find me every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern doing the Rick Robinson Show here on KLRN Radio. As of tomorrow night, we'll be doing the Whatever Show with Stacy, who is boycotting politics, but as far as I know, hasn't told me she's not doing that show anymore. So we'll touch base tomorrow just to be sure. Then after that, we have the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show, which I produce, the Ladies of the Red Wine, which I produce, and then Ordy and I will finish off your night with the Rick and Ordy Show. Thursday, we are not doing America Off the Rails right now because I'm actually going to be moving that to a weekend, probably starting this next weekend, because it seemed weird to do the one show and then come back and try to do another separate hour a couple hours later. So just Jen and Rick from me. Before that, of course, Brad already gave you the lineup that opens for us, but that'll be 10 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. Fridays, again, been filling in for the incomparable Mickey Blowtorch on He Said, She Said. Juxtaposition is off this week, so I think that's what I've decided I'm going to do, is on the Saturdays that we don't have Jux, I'm going to do Rails. Because I want to keep that show going, and I'm just going to move it to Saturday nights as kind of a recap for the week. When I'm not doing all that stuff, I also produce for both He Said, She Said, and a few other shows, as I've mentioned most of them already. When I'm not doing that, I am also the executive producer of the Loftus Party podcast, which will drop tomorrow. I regularly contribute at the Loftus Party website. And also you can find me on a little website called twitchy.com. And if you need more of me than that, you need therapy, but you can find me on social media at RowdyRick73 on most platforms. And on that note, we're leaving because I'm out of breath now. Bye, everybody.
Hey, Rick, just so you know, you can ask Mickey to guest star tomorrow on He Said, She Said.
Well,
this podcast?
the last time I got Mickey to fill in when Aggie couldn't be there, I got a what the fuck. So I don't know how I feel about that.
No. It's his show, and I wish he would come back, but he's too busy. I mean, his work, y'all, I can't even begin to describe it. So,
all right, folks, we are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night. For
Buenos
those
nachos.
Damn it! Now I want nachos.
Y'all ready for this?